Hello and welcome to Carp Fishing Edges Volume 3. A year has passed, a year in which the guys at Fox have been carp fishing all over the country and beyond, experiencing some incredible action. Over the next 4 hours, we'll bring you some unforgettable footage of the fishing that the guys have done, and hopefully along the way, you'll be picking up an edge or two yourself. Okay, so what am I doing here today? I'm at Farlows Lake in Iver in Buckinghamshire, probably one of the most famous day ticket carp fisheries in the carp fishing world. And just to make the next 24 hours a little bit more interesting, I've never fished here before. For the past 8 weeks, winter set in. It's been hot, cold, it's been horrible, the lakes have frozen. However, when I pulled up into the car park this morning, the first thing I did was help a guy land the most magnificent 33-pound mirror carp. So all I can hope is the Farlows carp have woken up. The next thing for me to do is to have a walk around the lake, have a look, see if I can find some carp, ask a few people some questions. Then I'm going to hatch myself a cunning plan and hopefully I can catch a carp for myself. Now, will I get on and do that? I'm going to leave you in the hands of a man who for me is probably the most technically gifted carp angler I've ever met, Mr. Tom Maker, and he's on his home turf at Linear Fisheries.
Right, you join me on a very windswept Brasenose 2 up on the Linear complex. I arrived down there last night. Weather was completely different yesterday. Had a good walk round Oxley's, that was the first choice. If I could have got on there, but I spoke to a few of the lads and it had just completely died. A few fish looked like they were spawning, so decided to leave them alone. Had a look on B1 because I had a good result on there the other week. Similar sort of stories really, the odd fish here and there, but we're for a bit of a session. Hopefully we can put a few in the bag. So I've opted to come onto Brasenose 2. There's a big wind sprung up this morning, pushing a northwesterly onto the causeway bank between the two lakes. The fish in here love a wind, especially a warm one. As I say, got the rods out first thing this morning. Got one in the net which I had about 5 minutes ago, and a couple more spods out over the top, and it's ripped off again. And looks like an alright fish, so we'll get this one in. Go through the tactics of how I put together a big hit of fish, and hopefully we'll carry on catching them. Nearly ready. Got it, second one. Right, just going to quickly unhook this fish. You can see the size 4 hook there's done its job. Nice firm hook hold. Unhook this fish, drop the rig back out there, put the fish in the margins in the net, get the rod back out, a couple more spods out, keep the fish in the area, and then we'll deal with the fish in a couple of minutes. Well, there you go. And as soon as I got the rod back out on the spot, put a couple of spods back over the top, just about to start dealing with the fish, the other rod's ripped away. Just shows really the importance of fishing more than one rod on an area. When these fish in these highly stocked venues come on to you, they come on in shoals. And as before, when I fished at Abbey, by keeping a few rods on the spot, 2 or 3 rods on an area, when they come in, you get one bite, rod's back out, the fish are still in the area feeding, and you've got a chance on the other rod. So this one's away, giving a good account of itself in the margin. Hopefully we can get him in and see what we've got. Quite a nice fish as well. Just dived in the weed. Got a bit of weed just growing up on the marginal shelf. Over the back of it's really clear and all the fish is done. Just dived into it. That's the only real weed in here. They've treated it, they've got rid of a lot of the snags that was in here before. I'm using a helicopter rig, which I'll show you in a bit how I set that up. There's no need to drop the lead on the bite, but should the fish come into contact with the snag on my line parts, the rig can pass off the end of the leader and the fish will just be trailing the rig around. But this bit of weed in the margin's not really much of an issue. I can easily guide them through that just with a bit of pressure. And looking at the fish, it looks all right. So I'll concentrate and I'll hopefully get it in. It's almost blown it into the net. There you go. This is the first one of the 3 that I've just had. About £15, so we'll slip this one back and we'll have a look at the other ones. And here's number 2. This is the 3rd one of that mad flurry of activity what I've just had. It really does show the importance of getting your rod straight back out the minute you've had a bite and got the fish in the net, you know. These fish, as I said before, they move through in numbers. Once they come on, they clear you out and they're off. I'll get this one back and I'll go through the bait, what I'm using, how I apply it to keep the fish in my swim for as long as possible. Right, I'm just going to run you through the spod mix what I'm using now. I fish these waters a hell of a lot and I see people turning up and they've got this, they've got that in their spod mix, and before long it's cost them about £60 to produce 1 bucket of bait. Mine really couldn't be any simpler. First things first, the main bulk of it is hemp. It's cheap, carp love it, and you can't really say much more about hemp really, you know, it's an all-time favourite. Secondly, I've got some sweet corn in there. It's visual, it adds more flavour to the mix and it gives me a hook bait option. And lastly is boilers. These are just 12mm, these are krill flavour boilers. I had some of them in whole and some in chops, and that allows me then just to fish a boilie hook bait, boilie tip with corn, or if I want just a single piece of corn. I've not got any powders or anything in here. I'm not fishing up in the water. It's extremely windy today. I don't want a load of powders in the mix, drifting through the layers and dragging the fish away. I want a nice heavy mix that when it's out there, the spod will upend, the mix will fall out and it goes straight on the bottom. So that's the mix I'm using. It really couldn't be any simpler. There we go, fish number 6, and as the day seems to be going on, more bait I trickle into the swim, the action seems to be getting more and more hectic, so hopefully as we come into the afternoon I can start catching a few more. Awesome. Okay, I'm just going to run you through how to fish really accurately. First things first, the swims at Linear, they're very tight. I see a lot of people, they cast out, they find their spot and then they start walking their rods up and down the bank. There's passing traffic all the time as well as other people. All they'll end up doing is running over tackle and damaging it. So in my hand here you'll see 2 marking sticks. These are simply placed a rod length apart in the swim. Why rod length? Because it's 4 yards, and by that, if I cast out and I'm fishing at 20 wraps, I know that I'm then fishing 80 yards. They go in the swim, and also if the matey boy comes in and says, oh, one of your bank sticks is on the floor, you then lose your mark. So by doing it at rod length, you always know where you stand. Secondly, and probably most importantly, is marker elastic. This thin elastic, basically you tie on your line once you've found your spot, and when you've cast out to your area, you can take it out the line clip and the elastic's then marking your line. If you get a fish in the middle of the night, you haven't got to wrap it back round. All you do is you get the fish in, you can cast the lead back out, wait for the elastic to go through the eyes, wind it back down, and you clip it back up and you're fishing. Also, should you have a breakage, you've got your marker sticks out there, write down how many wraps you're fishing on your phone. Today we're fishing at just under 18 wraps. If you have a breakage, you can simply re-rig, wrap it back around the sticks, tie it back with pole elastic, and you're fishing again. You're not having to recast, find the area. You're always fishing super accurate. So they're the essentials for accurate fishing. Okay, so the first lead that will go into the water when I get in the swim will be the lead that's on the end of my spod rod. This is to find the feature that I'll be fishing to. So I chucked out there today knowing that there's going to be a big wind, so I've not gone ridiculously far because I knew from about midday that I wouldn't be able to fish out there accurately enough. So I've chucked out, I found a nice spot, probably about, hazarding a guess, 65, 70 yards. So what I then do is I bring it to my marker sticks, wrap it around, mark it up, and then that's it then. I don't have to do another cast with a rod till I put a hook bait out. I'll repeat the same process with all 3 rods, write it down in my phone so I know what it is, and then you're ready to fish. So let's wrap this up and we'll see how far it is. Right, so I've wrapped it round, 17 3/4 wraps. Hazarding a guess with a drop of the lead out there, the water's probably about 6 or 7 foot, so there's no need to leave anything extra for your fishing rods. So this one will now come in, the spod will be attached and replace the lead. Our 3 fishing rods will be wrapped up to exactly the same distance. Maybe if I was fishing in sort of 10, 12 foot of water, I'll leave a little bit more for your rods just to allow for a little swing back onto the baited area. But as we're only fishing in quite shallow water, there's no need to leave any because the mono will naturally stretch anyway when it hits the clip. So 17 3/4 wraps, I'll jot that down in case I have a breakage or anything like that. And there you go, ready to rock and roll. So let's wind this in and we'll get the rods clipped up. Right, just one last little tip. Whenever I'm putting the marker elastic on the rod, I always put it at the join of the rod. So then I know that every time when the elastic reaches the join of the rod, if I put it in the clip, it's on the same spot every time. Also, as you can see, I'll put 2 pieces on. This is purely just in case if one slips or one comes off, you've not got to waste time by wrapping it back up. So that's it. That's all the aspects of fishing nice and accurate. Right, but no word of a lie, I've brought my 3 rods in off the spot, fresh bait, thought I'd have a recast. Recast the first one, got it out there. Recast the second one, just getting the handle set in the right place and it's ripped off out my hand. And I'm bent into another angry little Brasenose 2 fish. And that really does just show that when these fish are on you, it doesn't matter if you're pummeling leads at them, spods at them, whatever, they're there, they want the food. And the more regularly you put that in, the more fish you get in your swim. And as it's proving today, the more action that you get. Get this one in, we'll then re-chuck them both back out, the other 2 rods that I've got left to put out, and I'm going to put a few more spods over the top just to keep the area topped up because we've got a big wind blowing now and there's quite a few people fishing on the end of it and I don't really want the fish moving off to somewhere else, so I'm going to keep them hopefully in my swim. Well, here we go, the action just keeps getting better and better. This is the first 20 of the session, 21 and a half. The wind's also picked up massively in the last hour as well, which brings me on to the rigs which I'm using. I'm using helicopters because I can fish a single bait on those, and I know that by using a semi-stiff hook link that I'm not going to get any tangles and that my bait's presented perfect every time. If I was trying to fish with solids in this wind, I'd be getting no end of problems, I'd be blowing everywhere. So in this instance, oh, that up. I was trying to say instance. He can last about 2 minutes, this fish, and then he goes a bit of a wild one. Did you get that on film? Painful. Did you hear it? I lost my hearing. In this instance, it's rather a single in the right place rather than a bag in the wrong place. Slip this one back, and hopefully one of his bigger mates are out there. Just going to run you through the lead setup and the rig which I'm using here today. First things first, I'm using a helicopter rig. A lot of people seem to have gone off of these over the last few years, but for me, changing over to these has completely transformed my fishing. Got a 3.5 ounce lead because we've got quite a strong headwind, so I want to be making sure that the lead gets out there. When it hits the clip, I'm straightening the line out and I'm getting the best presentation possible. Again, reason I'm using a helicopter, I'm not using a bag, so I'm using a single. With a helicopter, this allows me to use a single hook bait and get the best presentation that I can. And again, the thing I'll mention is the lake that we're fishing on Brasenose 2 is not weedy, so I don't need to be dropping the lead on every fish. But should the fish come into contact with a snag and it breaks away, the bead can just pop away and then that can run freely off the end of the lead course, so the fish is perfectly safe. Rig wise, it's about 6 inches of a strippable braid. This is Camatech's sort of intermediate, if you like. I've been given this by the product development team to try out. It's an in-between version of the soft and the stiff that's already available, and as you can see so far today, it's been doing the damage, and also the last few weeks which I've had it as well. Hook wise, I've got a size 4 SR hook, nice big hook. You're pulling these fishing from a long way. The last thing you want is to be having hook pulls near the net. Hook bait today, I've got a krill wafter, which matches the krill baits that I've got in my spod mix. Tipped with a piece of plastic core, and that's purely just for visual. Again, with this material, because it's a semi-stiff, fishing with a helicopter, because you're fishing a single, it's always going to be kicking away from the lead, so the rig's anti-tangle, and you're always going to be presenting your bait properly. So that's the rig that I'm using, and as you can see today, it's been doing the damage. Right, well, I've ploughed my way through quite a number of fish now, and normally, as the case with on here, gets to a certain point where the sort of mid doubles push off and you get a few bigger ones coming to the swimming. Just caught a glimpse of this one. There's not many ghosties in here, but this is the common, and it looks quite large. So had a bit of a problem with the bloke's lines next door, but he's opened his bail arm, so it's coming in all right now. Hopefully we can get this one in. This is part of a double take as well, which again just shows the importance of having 3 rods on a nice tight area. Got 1 rod still out there fishing. First one was small, about 8 or 9 pound, and then we've got this one now, which is, he's having a right good scrap. Doesn't really make it any easier with the wind that we got. It sort of plays them for you, but looks like he's nearly ready. It's a nice fish. That's a lovely looking common, that. Use this little step to sit on, hopefully it glides over the net. Beautiful. That's a lovely fish, that. Awesome. There you go. How about that one then to end the session? Since the cameras have turned up this morning about 9 o'clock, it's the 15th one I've had. As you see before, I had a 21. This is the biggest at 22. It's been an absolute fantastic day, and it just goes to show that if you're prepared to wade through the smaller ones, the rewards are certainly there at the end of it. So slip this one back, dry the net and mat out, and then I'll pack up and head for home, I think. Awesome.
Very nicely done, Mr. Tom Maker. Well, eventually I found myself a swim. I've had a look around, I've chatted to a few of the locals, and it was written many, many years ago. First find your fish. Speaking to the locals, the fish haven't been showing at all. Nobody's seen anything, although a few are getting caught. I looked out here and I saw one almost straight away. And in my book, I think I may just have found them. The locals say that this is an area that they'd expect them to show up first of all at this time of year after the winter freeze. So I'm going to settle on this spot. I've had a little lead around, probably about 80 yards. I found a nice soft silty area in about 12 foot of water. Drawing the lead back towards me, lumpy bumpy, feels like gravel, but I suspect it's not. It's probably a mussel bed, and carp eat mussels, and in that silt just beyond it is going to be a little more of their natural food. In my world, the perfect place to fish. I'm going to put bait out there. The key to all of my carp fishing is bait application. If I can get the carp feeding how I want them to feed, then more than likely I'm going to catch one. Now, I'm a boilie angler, as I say. I rarely use anything else, but boilie fishing isn't just about putting little round balls out in the lake. Invariably, I'll use 3 different sizes, 10s, 15s and 18s. The mix I've got today are 10 and 15s, but in amongst those 15s, I've put some dumbbell-shaped boilies. What it does, if it makes any difference, is allows me to have a lot of choices of hook baits, 2 or 3 10 millers, one single 15 mil boilie, or maybe a dumbbell with a little bit of balancing on top. It gives me options, gives me something to work on if I'm struggling for a bite. Now, I'm going to spread those boilies out. I don't want to bait exactly down the same hole all the time and make a tight area. I want to spread them out because a carp moving between mouthfuls is infinitely more catchable than one that's grubbing around on one small spot. Well, it's hard for me to believe at this moment in time, but we actually had a very decent summer last year. Now, the astutely minded product development king Scott Day decided to get his rods out at this time at probably the hottest period of the year, a time when the last thing you'd expect a carp to do is get itself caught. However, he had a bit of a result. Check this out.
Check that baby out. 36 pounds and 2 ounces. Caught it on a naked style hinge stiff rig. There's quite a bit of weed out there, so fishing to a clear patch just behind the weed, and being able to drop the lead has helped to get the fish up in the water and away from the weed into the safety of my net. So I'll talk you through how I set that up in a little while, but just admire its beauty. Awesome fish. Since the capture of the last fish, it's got decidedly warm. It's probably it is the hottest day of the year so far. So I've done some remodelling to my angling attire for this evening. Chopped off the sleeves and stuck a V in the front of it. Just let a bit of air circulate around my body. But yeah, I didn't really expect to get a bite now, in the middle of the day, or in the evening should I say. Because it's red hot. But yeah, just this one screened off out the blue. And, looks like I've got a nice comment. Woke up. Oh, and the other rod's away. Oh, oh.
This one's heavy. This one's heavy.
Sort that rod out for us, mate. Well, that's an even bigger turn up for the buck. Oh, there it is, it's gone through that weed. Well, I really didn't expect this, to be honest with you. It's, I don't know, about 5:45 in the evening. It's still ridiculously hot. And yeah, as you could see, just playing that common, and the middle rod just screened off. These rods aren't fished not a million miles apart, so obviously there's a group of fish just coming and have managed to pick up a couple of bites, which, like I say, I can't really get over it, but it's amazing it's happened whilst it's so hot at this time of the day. Quality, it's the right result. There we go, that's the first one of the double take. Scraper 20 common, £20 two. Oh. Give me a bit of a tussle really. Healthy. Good scrapper. Again, on the same rig, on the naked style hinge stiff rig, and we will get round to showing you what we were doing with that, but we'll get this one back in the water and then get the other one out and photograph that. There we go. This was the fish that I had whilst I was playing the common, 2710. It's a minter, gorgeous looking fish. Nice healthy male, spawned out. Ready to whack it back on in the winter. Stunner. Just spin around. There goes the other side of it. Stunning fish. Testament to the quality of the fish that are in this Spellbrook syndicate. It's made me a happy chap anyway. There we go. Well, it just proves that on a day where you think it would all be zig fishing, or on the surface or up in the water, that's 3-4 bites this morning, or should I say today, sorry, all off the bottom. On the hottest day of the year so far, but yeah, put it back. Right, firstly, I want to clear something up. I can categorically promise you that this garment will not, and I repeat, will not be ever made by Fox International. I have to massively apologise for it, however, as explained earlier on, it has been the hottest day of the year and I had to do a bit of DIY to it. And again, I apologise for what you've seen, but unfortunately, needs must on a day like this. Anyway, we're down at Syndicate Water, Spellbrook Syndicate Water in Hertfordshire, and we were doing some pictures and some little videos for the website and some magazine stuff. But as you can see, we've had a little bit of a result, so we thought we'd film a little bit more of it, and as such we had that double take, and that led to 5 fish for the day so far. The biggest being that 36-pound lever you see me catch earlier on. But as I said, I wanted to explain to you what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, and just to take you through the rig that we've been using. So I mean, when we arrived yesterday, I quickly led it around. It's quite a newish lake and there's a lot of onion weed around, but there is clear spots behind the onion weed, but it's quite thick. So it's a clay lined lake, so it is quite soft in areas as well. So I wanted to use a system where I could get rid of the lead should the fish get into any weed, or alternatively to get rid of that lead when the fish picks the bait up, so it comes up in the water away from that weed. So I've been using a naked style hinge stiff rig, and that's set up directly onto 23-pound Exocet, because there's a no leader rule on this lake. And I've got at the top here just one of our tungsten beads, and that's just pushed onto a mainline stopper. And behind that I have a quick change O-ring, and I'm running down to our tapered buffer sleeve. And like I say, I've got it set up drop-off style, so the main line's tied to a 4mm heavy ring, and on this occasion I'm using a small loop of 25-pound reflex. Now the beauty behind this method really is that you can tweak it and change it and alter it to suit your fishing. Like I say, I'm using 25-pound reflex with a 3-ounce lead at the moment, because having played around with it for a while, I know that 3-ounce lead will slide off the 25-pound reflex. If I was using a smaller lead, I'd maybe drop down to a 15-pound reflex. Basically, it's the lower diameter braid slips through the little hole at the top of the buffer sleeve easier. So you can tweak this method to suit the fishing that you're actually doing. So basically what we do is we put the needle through the hole at the top till it pokes out the bottom, thread the lead onto the loop, put the needle through the loop, and then just pull everything back through. And now the little loop has come through the top of the hole on the buffer bead. I'm going to use a small PVA stop just to secure the lead on the cast and whilst it's in the water to start with. But the PVA obviously melts and then leaves me with just this loop inside the buffer sleeve. There's enough tension in that loop to be able to wind the rig back afterwards. So if I've not had a pickup or doing a recast, there's enough tension created by this little loop going back through the bead to allow me to wind the lead back in. So it's just another way that you can tweak and improve the setup. So I'll just put one of our little PVA strip stops on. Just like a boilie stop really, but made of PVA, and then just trim that off there. So it's just a small, neat little piece of PVA. It just saves rolling up a little nugget or something. These are the stops that we use in our angled run ring kit as well. When I'm first casting out, just to make sure I found the spot correctly, I just put a boilie stop in there. There's enough tension in the boilie stop to allow me to cast it out, wait till I found the spot, get it clipped up, and then I wind it in, take the boilie stop out and just replace it with the PVA for the cast. And then the rig itself is, like I say, a small hinge stiff rig. It's made out of Transcarky Illusion on the boom and a 30-pound rigidity in the hook section. 30-pound rigidity is super stiff, and it just allows me to get that curve exactly how I want it. And then we just slip this onto the quick change O-ring. As you saw earlier on, once I had that fish in the net, this allowed me just to take the rig off, just so it's easy to deal with the fish getting in and out of the water. And then we just slide one of our small micro sleeves over the top. And there we have it. A little sliding naked style hinge stiff rig. It just slides up to the top bead on the cast. The lead will plug into a little bit of the clay. This top bead can just ping off if we're getting into any trouble at all. And then once the PVA is melted, the lead's just sat in the clay and the rig just sat perfectly on top of it. It's definitely done the business on this trip. It's 5 bites, 5 fish. So yeah, give it a go.
My eyes were nearly bleeding then watching those changes of wardrobe, but what an incredible result for Scott. I said earlier I like to spread my boilies out, make the carp move between mouthfuls. Now I can do that very nicely from a catapult, and I can also do it with a throwing stick. Unfortunately, when I look out across this lake, there are several of the most annoying animals that were ever put on this planet. And if I use a throwing stick today, every single one of those boilies will get eaten by the little white devils out there. So, enter the impact spod. Points to note, it floats. I can fill it with one hand. The catch on the front isn't impeded by bait, and believe me, it flies like a bullet. Okay, I've got my bait in 2 different bags because if I need to go to an area where I'm going to use a catapult, I don't want to be firing out lots of different sizes, but it doesn't hinder the operation. All I have to do, scoop up a few 10s, scoop up a few 15s and dumbbells, pop the lid down, and I'm ready to rock and roll. And believe me, this really, really does fly like a rocket. Now, the most important thing, when the spod actually hits the surface, as soon as it hits the surface, draw it back slowly. It floats, remember, and some of that bait, well, most of it is going to stay within inside the body of the spod. So draw it back slowly. After 5 or 6 feet, all the bait will have come out, and the deeper water, the more that bait is going to spread out. It's absolutely what I'm trying to achieve. And believe you me, it really doesn't get any better than that. Okay, we're back out with Scott Day now, and several years ago Scott had to move from the north of the country down south in conjunction with his job, but he's always been keen to get back up north and show his northern monkey friends that us softy shandy drinking southerners hadn't affected his fishing and that he could still mix with the best.
Well, here we are in the north, my spiritual home. Well, not quite, it's a little bit further north than that. We're in Hull, we're at Majestic Pool. A lot of you guys ask us to film venues further north, so we left sunny Essex this morning at about 10 o'clock, and 4.5 hours later, we're here at Majestic Pool. We've had a quick look around, and the wind is absolutely hacking into a swim called the Reedy. So I think first port of call is to get the gear in there and have a look from there. Right, we're in the swim, got 3 rods out, everything's looking very good to be honest. Like I said earlier on, we're on the end of a southwesterly, the biggest wind that's been blown for months, big low pressure, big moon last night. I've got to say it's looking really good. The rods are out, I've got 2 out in open water. Since we're setting up I've seen 2 fish going one area, so I've covered that area with 2 rods at the moment. Got a pop up out there and a balanced bottom bait. and I've got one down on the reed line. This wind's hacking into the reed line, it just screams fish. I've not seen a walk before. We've purposely not tried to find any information about likely spots, so we tried to go on it on the day and see what's looking good. The reed line looks good because the wind's just hammering into it, and the other spot, well, I've seen 2 fish out in open water, covered it with 2 rods. We've not put a lot of bait out at the moment, simply because I've seen fish. I don't want to spook them. I want to see if I've got a chance of picking up a fish up before I start putting too much bait over their heads. So it's looking good, but it is breezy. I've even had to turn the sensitivity down on the NTXRs because it's blowing the bobbins around. Put a little extra 5 gram weight on just to control the bobbins and try and get a decent line layout there. But it's looking good. But it's been a long day, bit of travelling, bit of walking around, trying to work out which swim to go for. And I think it's about time to put the barbecue on, kick back and relax for the evening. Well, here we go, first evening, and one of those rods that are put out to where we've seen a couple of fish has whistled off. I think this is a little balanced bottom bait, and we've got a fish on. So yeah, I think that the single bait approach on this occasion has definitely worked. You know, maybe we wouldn't have got this bite, should I say, if we'd have spotted out a load of bait or put a load of bait over the top of its head. You know, if you've got an area where you're seeing fish, then they're obviously there for a reason, so you don't need to, or I personally feel you don't need to put a load of bait in over the top of them. Try and get an early bite on a single, and let's pay dividends this time. Not at all. Ooh, hey, aye. It's stripping me. There we go. Excellent. A very northern carp. Cool. Check that out, what an awesome start. The first evening is one of the rods that we've cast to the fish that we've seen, the 2 fish that we've seen. This one was on the balanced bottom bait on a running lead rig, and yeah, the furthest north I've ever caught fish, even for a northerner. That's pretty good. And what makes it even better is 20 pound and 6 ounces. I'm sure you'll agree. What an absolute minter. It's an awesome fish. So yeah, we'll hopefully try and catch another one this evening or tomorrow morning, and tomorrow we'll get a little bit more opportunity to talk you through the rig and show you exactly how we caught it. Great start though, awesome start. On another one, just to the right. That would have been where I'm picking liners up, that range towards the bush, the tree. But that's 2. There's a bit more activity showing now, so yeah. Well, the hours of darkness were pretty uneventful, but just as it was going dark, we saw a couple of fish, but the wind dropped right off, and there was a bit of a chill in the air for the first time for a couple of months really last night. But it, you know, no fish, it didn't produce anything. But this morning the wind's picked up again big time, and I've had a little change of tact. I've moved the rod from out the corner near the rushes, as I've seen a fish just off a bush that's halfway down the no fishing bank. I saw a fish there, so I'll put a single pop-up onto it, and then about half an hour, 40 minutes later, I saw another fish over it. Since then I've been getting a couple of liners on that right hand rod, so there's fish in the area, They're not a million miles away. But last night the rod that we caught on was a little balanced bottom bait rig. Only a short piece of 5 inches of Cameltech soft, a big hook, just a little bit of cork drilled into the bottom of the bottom bait, just to negate the weight of it a little bit. Ooh, now you can feel that breeze now blowing hard. And yeah, that was a rod that produced. I had 2 rods on that spot, the little hinge stiff rig that you see me use before, and the bottom bait. It was the bottom bait that went. It's hard to assess whether the bottom bait was the key or the pop-up, but on this occasion last night, the bottom bait didn't do any harm, obviously, because I caught on it. So I've stuck with that little tact. And we put a little bit more bait out the sea this morning, just over that spot, because I know it's produced and we've seen a couple of fish there. But I think one of the main reasons why I caught on that rod yesterday evening is the water's a day ticket water. You don't know who's been in the swim before you. You don't know how much bait's been put into the water. And those, we touched on it last night, but those few fish that we saw were there, they must have been there for a reason. Whether or not there was bait that was been out there from the weekend that the fish have started to eat, or there's a bit of weed growth there, or there's some naturals or something. But the fish were showing us where they were. And so I took a softly approach and didn't really feel any need to put any bait out there. I just fished it with a little stringer and just 10 baits scattered over the top of it. And the reason why we only put a little bit of bait in there is you can't take the bait out once you put it in, but you can always add to it if you need to. So it definitely worked on this occasion, and I'll talk you through the rig that caught the fish and show you what it was all about. For a major kite down the right-hand margin, just as the rain starts. So the wind's proving a bit tricky. Couldn't really work out why we've not had a bite today. It's just looked really good for it. Certainly fighting fit. Can't be far off now. Looking good, looking good. Yes! Happy days. There we go, fish number 2. 14.5 pound, lovely scaly mirror. And as I previously mentioned, I've been using the running rigs on this session. So, perfect opportunity to show the lead setup and explain my reasons for using it. Now, I initially started using a 3-ounce lead simply because, as we previously mentioned, there was a couple of fish in the area. I didn't really want to disturb them dramatically, so I went through a 3-ounce lead and I fixed it in place using the little T-bar. After I caught the fish, I decided that I want to put a little bit more bait out. I could probably get away with creating a little bit more disturbance, and therefore I swapped it over to my preferred size of lead when using a running lead, and that's a 5-ounce lead. The thing with a running rig is, to make it work really effectively, you need the lead to stay put. You don't want it moving at all. You want the fish to pick up the rig and to be able to pull the line through without moving the lead. And obviously a 5-ounce lead helps you to achieve that. Now, one of the plus points about the angled drop-off run ring kit is that, as you can see, it allows the swivel to articulate and move. Therefore, it's always finding the point of least resistance, encouraging it to run freely and not move the lead. However, because I decided to go with the 5-ounce lead, I didn't want the lead swinging around whilst I'm playing the fish, so it allows me then to use it drop-off style. So I took away the T-peg and I used one of the PVA strips. You simply pass the strip back through, pull it into position, and then snip it off on the other side. This way, I'm now using the rig effectively, but once the PVA melts, the lead can pull free. There's enough tension in the clip to allow it to wind the lead back in should you want to recast at any point, but there's just enough friction that should the fish should I get in contact with the fish, I can eject the lead, so I'm not swinging the 5-ounce lead around whilst I'm playing the fish. So that's what's done the business for us. What we'll do is just talk you through the indication and how I set that up, just to make the most out of the running lead. One of the other advantages about using running leads is indication. As long as you've got everything balanced correctly, you can get really positive bite indication. You generally don't get drop backs, because if the fish is swimming towards you, it's got to pull line through the ring on the heavy lead to come back towards you, so you get a positive indication, and the bobbin rises. Also, if you've got some big old wary carp, and sometimes they tend to kite on a tight line, they can't do that with a running lead, because it's not moving the lead, it's got to move the line. As it pulls away from the lead, it's taking line up, and generally what that will mean is it's taking the slack that you've set to your indicator, so it's pulling through the lead and it's taking up the line. Again, you get positive indication straight away. The way I've set my bobbins up today is I've got the micro heads, the Black Label bobbins with the micro heads on, but because it's a bit windy, I've had to add the 5 gram weights onto them. The 5 gram weights are combating the wind, so I'm not getting any of the line moving because of the wind. So it's just allowing me to balance it correctly. I've got a nice slack line out there, so I've got an area around the lead, which is on the bottom, creating a safe area for the fish. But then as soon as the fish picks up the bait, and as soon as it moves, the line is transmitted all the way through to the indicator, and the indicator moves. The lead's staying put. The other good thing about it is the fish it's not attached to a weight, it's not attached to a lead, which is quite often the case nowadays with people using lead clips and helicopters and such. So it's a little bit different for them. They've picked the bait up and they're moving, and they can't feel any resistance. You get the indication through until it hits the line clip, and then the fish picks up and moves away. So it's a really good method for trying to trick those wary carp. Since I started using these running leads again, back in last winter, I did a little bit with them. I'm pretty convinced that they've added an extra few fish on the bank for me. So it's a bit different from the norm. And as long as you've got your setup balanced perfectly, it's a brilliant way of getting great indication. There you can see the running lead clip minus the lead. It's done exactly what we wanted it to. And it's helped us bank number 3. There we go, fish number 3. 17 pounds and 6 ounces. A lovely stunning scaly mirror again. And the running rig's definitely doing the business now. So I'm confident of maybe another bite or two. Your barbecue on my face. Sweet, there we are. There we go, number 4. Well, check that one out. Fish number 4. 24 pounds and 2 ounces. I'm absolutely buzzing with that one. It's a cracking looking fish, and just shows there is some great carp fishing up in the north. There's a little bit of light left. This may be the last one of the session, and if it is, I'm really chuffed to end on a fish like this. But you never know. We've got the night, we've got the morning before we embark on the 4.5 hour journey back home. But I'm pleased with the result. I think it was well worth the journey down here. So there we go, Majestic Pool cracker. Well, it was another uneventful night. However, at first light this morning, I've had a quick double pickup. We've only one rod left. The middle rod's whizzed off. I've had to give Harry a shout to wake him up because I'm in a little bit of a pickle. But what we'll try and do is get this one in the net with that one and then deal with the one in the STR sling so we can sort the other two out. Here comes the tricky bit. Got to try and get this one in the net. I was keeping the other one in the bottom. And when they're fighting fit like these fish, I think it might make things a little tasty. There we go. Oh, there we go. Now I've got a little predicament of sorting them two out. Well, there's the first one of this morning's double take. 19 pound and 14 ounces. I have a sneaky suspicion that the other two might be a little bit bigger. So I'll weigh those up and find out what those are. Well, there we go. There's the other culprit from the double take. Another 20 for the session, 23 pounds and 6 ounces. It's a bit of a brute. There's one more to go. We'll get that one out and have a look at that one in a minute. Well, that's the fish you just seen me playing. Fish number 7 and 20 pounder number 4 at 22 pounds and 10 ounces. It's a bit of a brute of a fish. And it's been a really enjoyable session. The fish have behaved like proper carp, crashing, showing, fizzing up at times, getting liners, then we're getting bites. And yeah, I'd like to thank Danny and Phil for letting us come down here. And to top it off with 4 Yorkshire 20s, I'd have been buzzing with that at home. So we'll slip this one back and make the journey home with a smile on our faces.
If I ever needed any proof that my little spot was where I needed to be, this is it. All it took was just one fish. I saw him come out of the water. Again, it didn't look a big fish, but it didn't matter. It's very often the very small signs that give the game away. And I left my house this morning to come and catch a carp, and I've done just that. And isn't it amazing? I've put 2 or 3 spods over the top of that. People get so twitchy about spods and baiting devices like that, and they've got absolutely no need to, especially on waters like this. There's a lot of fish in here, and although it's hard to believe for some people, it is almost like a dinner gong. They know there's bait being delivered for sure, and when you've got that many fish in a lake, you know you've started the competition for food as soon as that bait's hit the water. And here's the result of it. And the one thing I'm really happy about is everybody told me I'd have to use a pink pop-up to get a bite. And I'm one of these people that don't believe in the colours of bait really matter. So I could put a completely different colour on and I've got the bite. I've always said if you put it in the right place, it really doesn't matter what you do with your hook bait. It's quite incredible. I've been to Farlows a few times for certain events, but I've never fished it. And here I am, within 30 minutes of casting out, playing a fish. And you know, I'd hate for carp fishing to be predictable, and it's little surprises like that make it such a special thing to do. Ooh. My first Farlows carp, and I can't tell you how happy I am about that. It's, I said earlier, first thing you do when you're fishing, even if you're armed with what you think's the best bait and the best rig in the world, is you can't catch them if they ain't there. So the first thing to do is go and find them. I think I did that about an hour ago, and here I am with my first Farlows carp. So I think the next thing to do is we'll set up the unhooking mat, and I'm in again. Oh my God. I think I am, yeah. Oh my goodness. Wow, it's gone. Oh dear. Damn. Harry, what's happening? That doesn't happen to me. I feel like Harry Charrington. And that one was on a brown one. Okay. Absolutely incredible. Let's put this down. Oh my goodness. As I said, next thing to do, let's have a look at my first Farlows carp. And there he is, my first Farlows carp, all 19 pounds and 2 ounces of him. And he really is an old warrior, a typical Colne Valley carp, and I can't tell you how pleased I am to catch it. I said, well, I was playing the fish, first find your fish, and here's the living proof that absolutely makes sense. You can't catch them if they're not there. I had a lead about quickly. I found an area that I thought they might be in after I saw that fish. I can't say I fed them because I'd only put 3 impact spods out there before I got this bite. Absolutely incredible. Now, that was absolutely remarkable stuff from Scott there up at Majestic, and gave us all plenty of food for thought about running rigs. And now the next most important thing is to put this fella back. Now, unless you've had your head firmly buried in the sand for the past 12 months, you cannot fail to have noticed Mark Pitcher's challenge on YouTube. Everyone felt they should have made a feature-length epic of it. So that's exactly what they did.
I'm Mark Pitchers, wader wearing, tea drinking, beard trimming carp freak. I've been an angler for over 30 years and I've caught carp from waters far and wide, big and small. For me, it doesn't matter where, as long as the challenge is exciting and inspiring. But now the tables have turned and it's over to you, the public, to assign my next mission on Fox's Facebook page.
It's not exactly the easiest challenge, is it?
Rivers and lakes, rigs and baits.
You fell to the cat meat?
There's been a number of incredibly tough challenges during this series. Have you been drinking de-icer again? Some of which I've knocked out the park.
Challenge completed.
Others have dealt me a devastating blow. But I'm still here and ready to pick up any gauntlet that is thrown down. This carp freak is not giving up without a fight. This is the challenge. What's up, carp freaks? As you can tell, I'm obviously not on the bank right now. I'm actually at home in my office. It's 10 o'clock at night, and the reason I'm here and not angling is I am waiting instructions for my new challenge. I have absolutely no idea what's about to be set. This is a little bit of a clue, although I really don't know what Scrabble has to do with carp fishing, but there you go. Other than that, I've just been told to keep the week free in my diary, so I'm guessing it's going to be a long one. Hopefully we're going somewhere hot, because it's absolutely freezing here. 9 degrees, it's August, man. What's all that about? So yeah, I'm just waiting for Lewis to give me a call. He's going to give me further instructions. So until then, I'm just going to search a few sites on the internet. What's wrong with that? And keep himself busy.
What's wrong with that?
Good evening, Lewis.
How's tricks? Okay.
Yes, less small talk. Get down to business.
Okay. Well, as you are fully aware, you're expecting this phone call for us to give you your challenge for the 2015 Edges DVD.
Yeah.
And myself and a couple of the other fox have been spending quite a bit of time coming up with this one to try and give you something that's realistic, but is going to be no means easy for you to achieve, because we do want it to be the ultimate challenge. As you know, you've been kindly asked to book the whole of this week free in order to achieve the challenge, or to give yourself the chance to achieve the challenge.
Do I need suntan lotion?
You're not going to need suntan lotion. No, I don't think so. Judging by the weather forecast for this week, I think you might need some waterproofs and a hat to stop your lovely hair getting blown all over the place.
Okay.
So, now, the premise of your challenge is going to be to fish 5 different venues over the next 4 nights.
Yeah. Is that it?
No, that would be far too easy. What we've decided to give you a little bit of a spice to it is that we know that your favourite word in recent times has been carpy. It's been quite a phenomenon on Twitter and Facebook. So what we decided was that the 5 venues that you're going to catch from, the first letter for each of those venues needs to finally spell the word carpy. So you need to catch from a venue that begins with the letter C, the letter A, the letter R, the letter P, and the letter Y.
Why?
Good luck with that one. Yes, you've got to find a venue that begins with the letter Y and catch a carp from there as well. So you've got 4 nights, 5 venues. We're going to be kind to you. We're not going to make you do it in the order of spelling carpy, because we think that would be slightly unfair and not very environmentally friendly, as you'd be whizzing up and down, up and down, up and down the country. So we're going to give you a little bit of leeway. So as long as you can get those 5 letters in an order at the end and put them all together and get carpy by 4 nights' time, then we're going to let you run with that. So there is a couple of little stipulations that we've put in, because obviously you could just drive over to 5 different match venues, catch a £5 carp, and claim yourself to be the best angler since sliced bread. So we're not going to do that. So what we want you to do is to represent the average fox customer. The guy who fishes a syndicate lake, the guy who fishes day ticket carp lakes, big venues, small venues. We feel at Fox that we try and make tackle for as many different carp anglers as possible. So we want you to pick venues that you feel and we feel best represent a fox angler. Not a match fisherman, a carp fisherman.
Okay.
How does that sound to you?
Doesn't sound easy.
Well,
but
it's supposed to be easy.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. Bring it. That's okay.
So we're not giving you a lot of time to make plans, as you're going to be setting off tomorrow morning. So if I was you, mate, I'd...
Don't worry, I've already spent a bit of time online, but didn't find much about fishing. But yeah, okay, I'm on it. I like it. Okay.
Get on the internet and get finding yourself some venues. Be up early tomorrow morning, and good luck.
Okay.
This is going to be the carpiest challenge ever, quite literally.
Okay. Right. Excellent. Okay, Lewis. Right. Love you.
Good luck, mate. Love
Bye.
you. Bye.
That's so not carpy. That is so not carpy.
What do you reckon?
I don't know if it's doable. I really don't. He's forgetting I live in the Outer Hebrides. It takes me like a week to get anywhere. It's I don't know. I feel stressed already, to be honest. I don't think it's doable. I really don't.
You better hurry up and get them off.
Yeah, I better use the internet for something a bit more resourceful, hadn't I, really? So, right, okay. Let's try and find some lakes beginning with C-A-R-P-Y. Good morning, it's 6 o'clock. Had a bit of a late night last night. I was up till the small hours, basically just researching venues, trying to get as many venues with each letter as possible. I had to prep all my kit. I had nothing ready, and I wasn't really able to get anything ready because I don't even know where I'm going, to be honest. I've packed the van with quite literally every shred of fishing tackle I own. So I think what we're going to do now, when we hit the road, I'm going to, the first water I'm going to is only about 40 minutes from here. It's a place called Rising Sun. Never fished it before. I don't really know what to expect, but quite a few people I've rang round all said, yeah, it's good for a bite. So hopefully, the plan is go down there, get one knocked out early doors, and then head off to the next venue. So let's get in the van and see how it goes. Carp anglers, you're right, like, can't put carp in keep nets and the two at match points. Well, we just got here at the fishery. There's 3 lakes on site, and to be honest, I don't really even know which one I'm meant to be fishing. This one looks about right. The sign there, carp anglers you need, large landing net, large enough in that carp care kit. So I'm guessing we're at the right lake. So yeah, let's go and have a walk round, and hopefully we can nobble one early and then be on the road. Right, let's get going. Well, I just had a bit of a scout round. Saw a few fish fizzing just on the end of the island here. So I was just sorry, I was just a bit distracted then. I had a line already. Literally, you just cast the rod in. Just cast the rod in, I don't know, 2 minutes ago, and I'm already getting liners. There's fish fishing on the end of the island, and the theme of the day, quite one sheeting up. Theme of the day really is sort of high attract, maximum attraction, try and get a bite as quick as possible. So I'm going with solid PVA bags. I've just got a short braided hook link here. That's the 15-pound Reflex braid, size 6 hook, 10mm pineapple pop-up, and it's just counterbalanced by this quick change pop-up weight. That's going up to that's going up to a 2 1/4 ounce inline lead. And I'm just fishing these inside the Rapid PVA bag system. So I'm just filling it with, well, actually, why don't we go through the process now and I'll show you how I do it. Put the bag on the loader. Fill it with some ground bait at the bottom of the bag. This is some Supreme Cream ground bait that I'm using. A little bit in the bottom of the bag. I've got the lead and everything drying off in the ground bait to remove any moisture, obviously, so it doesn't dissolve the PVA when we put it in. Lower the rig in. I kind of tap everything down with the lead and then just pull a little bit. Pull up so you've got a bit of a clearance. A bit more ground bait in, and then I put the lead down to the bottom. I'm just using some tiny 2.5mm pellets. Fill up like that. Pull the lead to the top of the bag. Pinch of ground bait. Tap it all down tight. Twist it round. Lick. Push down. That's the bag. I just fold the corners in though, just to make it a bit more aerodynamic for casting. And to increase the attraction a bit more, I've just got a pot here of hemp oil. Dip the bag in. And that not only leaks off loads of attraction, kind of tightens the bag a little bit as well. And some of the oil will seep down into the bag. And you'll see when it casts out, you get a nice oily slick. It really does kick off a lot more of attraction, and hopefully it'll tempt a bite a bit quicker than a standard bag would. So that's that. Let's get it in. I've had a liner probably every 2 seconds since I cast out an hour ago. I'll keep you updated. Alright, sausage. That didn't really help anything, it just confused matters, if anything. I'm concerned already that the challenge isn't going the way I want it to. How long have we been here now? 3 hours for a couple of bream. I really wanted to have one in the bag within like half an hour of casting out, which I think was a bit optimistic. But I think we're going to give it another, I don't think we can afford to give it much more than another hour, and then we have to be gone. I mean, there's plenty of fish feeding. I don't think the carp, I think well, judging by what I've just caught, I'm guessing there's obviously a big shoulder bream moving around the swim. So, I don't know. Give it another hour and then I'll make the call then, I think. Well, I've just had a complete change of tactics there. If this were the species challenge, I'd be world champion. I've had skimmers and crucians and basically everything but carp. So change of tactic now. Bags have gone, out and out boilie approach. So I've just got a little snowman here, topped off with a little 10mm pink fluorocell pop-up, and I'm just going to scatter a few pouchfuls of hybrid boilies over the top, and hopefully that'll keep the bream at bay, and I'll get through it with the carp this time. Why didn't I do this change earlier? The rod's been in the water 15 minutes with the boilie snowman over boilie, and I'm now playing a carp. I've wasted so much time messing around with PVA bags, getting bream and crucians and tench and whatever else, and should have just started off with boilie from the beginning. But my source has told me there's no bream to worry about, you'll be alright, just go in with solid bags. Well, they were wrong. Oh, a bit cheeky. What's all that about? Calm down. Yes! Oh! How big is he? Does he count? Is he counter? He's just under doubles. He'll do. He'll do. Right, have a little look at him. Bring this over on the mat here. Well, it's not the biggest carp I've caught, but I don't know, he's probably 7-8 pounds, something like that. But I'm counting him. I wanted to catch a fish about 4 hours ago. It took a lot longer than I thought. I made the change up at boilies far too late. Only got myself to blame. It's cost me valuable time. So I just want to get this fish back, get in the van and get on to the next venue. Well, although it feels good to get the R done, that really did take far too long for my liking. In my mind, that's put me behind schedule, so I really do want to get cracking now. Head over to the next venue, and the next letter is A, and I picked the A1 pits. I'm going to be heading south anyway, so it's kind of convenient. It's just a short drive off the A1. So yeah, I'm going to get my foot down. It's about an hour and a half's drive, so let's not mess about. Let's get over there. Well, here we are over on pit 2. I've got 2 rods out. It's all looking very carpy. I've got this reed bed in front of me, rod tips just poking over the edge, not even using backrest. Doesn't get more carpy than that, does it? So I've got 2 rods in position, and all I've done, I've just sort of sat and waited for a while, and there was areas where the fish seemed to show more frequently than others. So yeah, basically just saw the areas where they were rolling, head and shouldering, fizzing. Had a cast around with a bare lead. If it landed nice and hard, put it in the clip, attached the rig, cast out, a few pouches of bait over the top. So yeah, I've done that on 2 rods, got the 3rd one to go. And the tackle I'm using, it's kind of how I finished up really on Rising Sun. Slight difference, I'm now using a 20-pound trans khaki Illusion leader. And the reason for that is I'm only fishing at short range here, 25 yard. And this just ensures everything is pinned down. Also, it's virtually invisible. The water clarity here it's clearer than we were over on Rising Sun, so it just makes everything a lot more undetectable to the carp. Inline lead, there's virtually no weed out there, or none that I've found, so there's no need to go dumping a lead unnecessarily. Coming down from that, I have a 20-pound hook link, and this is a prototype material. It's a Camotex semi-stiff. Then I have a size 5 SSBP hook, short shanked beak point hook, and I've got a mini line liner sleeve over the top of that. That really does improve the hooking potential of the rig massively. Small piece of silicone down the shank of the hook just to create a blowback effect, and I've got a 14mm hybrid boilie topped off with a 10mm fluoro pink cell. That's it, very, very simple. So let's get that out in place. Well, we're in. It doesn't feel very big, but the rods have only been in the water less than an hour, so it's a start and it's a carp. Well, he's in the bag. Well, it's a start, isn't it? It's I don't really think Lewis will let me have this one as a pass just yet, but you know, we've been fishing less than an hour. It's certainly a better start than what we had over on Rising Sun. There's fish feeding in front of me, there's fish fizzing away. I've gone with the out and out boilie approach to try and get a bigger fish, and well, it's at least I haven't had bream, put it that way. But I mean, it's a nice little fish, isn't he? Nice dark looking common, little jet black fella. So yeah, let's get him back. There's still fish fizzing out there. Let's get some more bait in, get the rig back in, and hopefully we'll get one a bit bigger. Good morning. I think it's a good morning. I haven't really had an awful lot of sleep last night. I had another 3 small fish, like the one you saw me with last time. I couldn't believe it really. I've seen only a handful of them little sort of them little fellas jumping around, and I ended up getting 3 last night. And then I did hook what felt a decent fish. Was pulling my arm off from the second I picked up the rod, and that ended up doing me in this snaggy tree just behind me. Absolutely mortified. This rod's been back out now half an hour. I think I've managed to grab about an hour's kip last night. Yes. Oh, he's not a monster. Oh, that's the biggest one I've landed so far. And I think Lewis might just grant me a pass with this one. Oh yeah, it's a double. It is a double, it. It's probably about 10, 11 pounds, something like that. I say he's not a monster, but I think we can count it as a pass. I'm counting it as a pass. I'm absolutely knackered. I've had an hour's sleep. I'm counting it as a pass. So it's a pass. That's it. We're done. A is done and dusted. I'm going to have I don't even think I want to cast back out the boat, so I'm going to try and have an hour's sleep, and then we're going to get on the road and go to the next venue. There he is. He's not a monster, unfortunately, but he's a double. He's certainly 10, maybe he's even 11 pound. So yeah, I'm pretty tired. So I'm going to slip him back, and I'm going to get in my bag and wait for the gates to open. Well, we're back on the A1 heading south. A little bit later than I had hoped for. I made the mistake of casting that rod back out to try and get one a bit bigger, and it rattled off a short while after. Hook pulled actually, but didn't feel a huge fish or anything. But it's meant I've had pretty much no sleep at all. I'm absolutely knackered, and I think it's fair to say that so far I haven't exactly covered myself in glory. So complete change of scenery, if you like. We're going to a big fish venue now, home to a 50-pound common. Now it's actually a syndicate water, which I'm a member of, but I haven't actually fished it yet. The place is called Patson's, and it's at Northey Park near Peterborough. Like I say, it's home to a 50-pound common. There's a couple of 40s in there as well, and a few 30s, quite a lot of 20s. So it is a big fish venue. It's a gamble though, there's no doubt about that. It is a gamble, and I'm just hoping that gamble is going to pay off.
Hi there, carp freaks. Here we are at Patson's, about an hour and a bit, just down the A1 from where we, when you last saw me on the A1 pits. It's the first time I've been to this water, even though I am actually a syndicate member. As you can see, it's quite weedy. So what I've done is take to the boat. I'm just having a little scout around in amongst the weed here. There is quite a few holes in the weed, or areas where there isn't any weed on the surface. And if you can see here, all this floating sort of scummy, frothy weed is stuck in amongst weed that is coming from the lake bed. So the areas where there isn't this floating scummy weed are generally where there isn't any weed at all. So it's quite easy actually to find clear areas among it. I'm just paddling around here. I've spoken to a couple of fish in the weed, but I'm not really too worried about that. This is where they feel safe. I mean, I've spoke to them. They're only going to go from that bit of weed a little bit farther away and sit in the weed again. They're not going to go far. I mean, it's the first time I've even had a proper sort of walk around the water, and I have actually chosen the weediest area of the lake. Just simply because wherever there's weed, it's just an area where the carp are going to feel safe and secure. Oh, there was a fish just here, common, that looked high 20s. She's sat in this little clear area here. So got my Polaroids on. And you can see there's no floating weed, there's no weed on the bottom. I'm just going to have a little prod around with the oar. It's actually good. I mean, this is an aluminium oar. When it lands on something hard, it doesn't have ting. You can hear it rattle right the way through the oar. It's actually quite soft and silty. It's quite sort of quite sticky. Not really feeling that spot. All right. Turn the boat around and we'll go for a proper little scout of the water. There's quite a few clear areas. Now I've turned the boat around, you can see there's quite a few clear areas. There's a fish just shown in that gap in the weed straight in front of me. So yeah, have a little punt through this weed, have a little bit of a prod around, and I'm sure we'll be able to find 3 nice areas on which to put the hook baits. Well, I've just come to a hole in the weed here. I'm just having a little prod around. And you can hear that on the oar tinking away as it's landing on gravel. Most of the other spots I've been prodding around in have been silty, and that's gravel. It's obviously been an area that's been polished off recently. It's been kept clear of silt through feeding activity. So that's looking like a very nice spot indeed to set a nice little trap. Well, I've just dropped the bait on that spot. I've just come back to the bank and I'm going to cast my rig in place. Just going to nick on a little piece of PVA foam just to protect the hook point, stop it from getting caught in any weed. Right. So now I'm just going to cast it. It's that little hole in the weed. Was lucky on the money. I've got the rod, got the alarm and a bank stick quite high, not just to keep it above these reeds in front of me, but I want to try and keep as much line off the floating weed as possible. Right, first thing I'm going to do is really crank that clutch down tight. I can't afford to give the fish even a millimetre of line. There we go, that's going nowhere. And then I'm using the springer arms here. That really does take all the tension out the line to keep it away from that floating sticky weed, which will really hinder the bite indication. I want to know the second that fish goes to move away, I want to know that instant I've got a bite. And it'll be very, very obvious, believe me. The rod will be going absolutely ballistic, it'll be hooping over. There'll be no doubt about whether we've got a take or not. You know, there you go, everything's nice and tight. 99% of that line is off the weed, just going into that hole there. That's one trap set. Let's get the other two sorted. Well, I've just got the last two rods in position now. Spent a bit of time placing these rods. I haven't got long on the water, so I wanted to make sure they're absolutely bang on the money. Saw some nice areas, saw some nice fish too, including the big fella. So there was absolutely no mistaking that fish at all. He's by far the biggest fish I've seen since I've been here, and I don't think there's any other commons even approaching that sort of size. So yeah, it's nice to know he's in the vicinity. So yeah, and he was over by the set of pads in front of the swim. There's a little clearing in the weed, a little gravel bowl, so that's where I've dropped one of the rods. The other rod I've dropped, there's a gravel channel, a gravel strip running between two very heavy bands of weed, and I've seen a few fish going up and down there today. There was a fish feeding there as well when we got here, so I've dropped a rod there, and because it's a bigger clear area, I've scattered a few baits in the general area to try and get them moving around. So yeah, all the traps are set. I couldn't have placed them any better by hand. They're absolutely bang on the money. So I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Well, good morning. It's 8:30. Last night was pretty uneventful, which to be honest didn't come as a massive surprise. I wasn't actually expecting to get a night bite. The temperatures now are dropping down to single figures on a night time, and I think if we are going to catch one, it's more likely to be sort of mid-morning, or maybe it's even through the day when the water's just had a chance to warm up a little bit. I've got no reason to move the rods, reposition the rods or anything. They landed absolutely bang on the money last night. Plus also, I've drilled out my hook baits, the cell pop-ups that I'm using. I drilled them out and put a little cork plug in just to give them more buoyancy. So them rigs will be sat absolutely perfect for at least 24 hours. So like I said, there's no need to disturb the swim by casting and rebaiting or anything like that. It really is just a case of sitting and waiting. I haven't seen many fish moving around as yet. I'm sure once the sun gets up a little bit more and it warms up a little bit, I'm sure we'll start seeing a few more fish moving around, and hopefully one of them will just drop down into them little holes in the weed and have a little bit of a feed. So time will tell. Why would anyone though seriously want to catch 5 carp from 5 different venues in 4 days?
That's not the point.
This is exactly as punishing as I knew it was going to be. Exactly.
Someone's misquoted something and it's frustrating me.
Yeah.
It's reference to an army film and they put, "Get in the chopper." It doesn't get in the chopper, it's "Get to the chopper." Everyone knows that.
It has to be in a camouflage container. You can't use clear plastic bottles. It is not carpy. Trust me when I say clear plastic containers are not carpy. That's not carpy as well, actually.
What?
A blowtorch gas bottle. That's not carpy. Giving themselves a carpy middle name on Facebook, that's not carpy. Self-declaration of carpiness is not carpy. Like the Carpy Challenge is so uncarpy because it's been given the title the Carpy Challenge. So by its very definition, it is not carpy. That was a fail. So I'm going to start referring to this challenge as the Uncarpy Carpy Challenge. That's it. I want to go in.
What have you done?
Someone didn't tie up the boat, did they? Not me.
You didn't tie up the boat, did you?
Here we go.
Hello.
Here we go. Right. Okay. You've got a towel in the back. Oh my god. I don't think I can. I literally don't think I can. Oh. That's the worst bit. Right, chuck us a lead in it, Paul. Harry. Oh man, I can swim, I'm just not quite ready for it.
Come on, Mark.
Just swim.
Just do it.
You
You're
won't believe
already
how-
halfway in anyway.
You won't believe how cold it is. I'm just have to swim to the boat, aren't I?
Yeah.
You absolute tit. Oh, it's only shallow, yeah? I'm on a gravel bait. Right, you're gonna get me towel dried off, Harry. Oh. Tell you what I think I'll do this time. I think I'll put the there we go. Come on, I'm cold. We need to hug together for warmth. Me and Harry were both just sat there saying, this looks dreadful, it ain't going to happen, we haven't seen a sign of a fish feeding, we've seen nothing. And the rod absolutely slams over and we're into a fish. Now he's weeded me solid, kind of expected this was going to happen. I'm going to have to set sail and go retrieve this carp. You undo me around there. You undo this. Right, you getting in? Yeah. And then pick up the panel to get near it. Is that alright? Once I get moving. At the moment all I'm doing is I'm just using the fish as an anchor. I'm trying to steer myself above it. See where the fish is. Line's just pinged. Can you row? I'm drifting horribly away from it. I get him in this little hole here. Right, keep it like that. Keep it like that. Give me a bit more, please.
Sorry, I just swore. Oh, is it in?
Is it?
Oh, it's an absolute lump as well. Oh my god, that was a struggle. Cheers, Harry. That was some good rowing. That isn't little, is it? I can't believe that. Just 5 minutes ago, we were sat there thinking, it's not going to happen. It's a waste of time. We need to start thinking about another venue we can get to quickly. There we go. Shows what I know, doesn't it? It's a big 20-pounder. I think it's probably bigger than a 20-pounder. I think I've really he's yeah. That'll do. Oh mate.
I don't know how much people would have seen of that, but
How easy did that come in? It was just sat on the top, wasn't it? Is that a 30-pounder?
every day of the week.
Thought it was like, but right. That is a unit. Got big old pop eyes on him. You can see he's absolutely nailed. That was a rig that did it. Different to the one that you saw me using last time. I made a slight change of tactics. We'll talk about that in a little bit later. For now, let's have a look at this big fella. Water. Let's have a look at him. Ooh, he's heavy. Have a look at that. Not bad for me first fish out of the syndicate water. He's a proper old unit, isn't he? Wrinkly tail, big poppy out eyes. What a character. I mean, to catch a 7-8 pounder, and then one just over 10 pound. This has kind of made up for the frustrations of them two earlier sessions. And this session wasn't exactly going quite to plan, which is why I changed the tactics around. I thought this was going to be heading into our second night on this venue, which would have pretty much spelt the end of the challenge. But I mean, this has just changed everything right around, hasn't it? Right, I think we'll give him a quick weigh. Yep, it's a 30 pounder. Oh, is that right? 38 pound, 9 ounces. Oh, that is unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Oh, I think that's one of the biggest mirrors in here. Let's have another quick look at him and then we'll get him back. Well, it's all to play for, isn't it now, really? What a proper old unit. Right, let's get him back. Well, I'll take all the luck I can get on this challenge, and I'd say nailing one of the big ones on my first night on the water is pretty lucky. Hopefully my luck won't run out and there's some left over for the next 2 venues. Come on, mate. Right, I need to get packed up. It's suddenly got very, very dark. There's a load of black clouds come over. I think it's going to absolutely chuck it down. So I need to get myself all packed away, get on the road if we're to get to the next venue before it gets dark.
Lewis. Put on speaker. Hello!
You can't send somebody a text message saying chuck and leave them hanging. So go on. How big?
£38, 9 ounces.
What, a mirror?
Yeah, I'm just celebrating with a rich tea biscuit. Awesome.
Jammy. Right. It sounds like it's going a little bit too easy for me, mate. That's 3 in no time. You didn't think that we were going to let you get off too easy without a little twist, did you, if you were doing well?
Well, yeah.
So the last 2 venues you got to catch from, make one of them a country that isn't England. Good luck.
He stitched me right up, hasn't he? What a I don't even know what to say to that.
Better get cracking.
We're now en route to our next venue, and I got packed up in such a rush and van loaded and on the road so quickly I didn't really get a chance to fully explain the change of tactics that led to that last capture. I mean, it was looking pretty grim, to be honest. I hadn't really had any indications at all, and niggling away in the back of my mind was that the hinge stiff rig and the white pop-up, although it was only popped up an inch and a bit, I couldn't help think it was perhaps a bit too blatant, dropping that in the clear areas amongst the weed. It would stand out, which, you know, it can have, you know, advantages and disadvantages, and I couldn't help feel it was maybe just a little bit too blatant. So I changed over from the hinge stiff rigs to a critically balanced wafter bottom bait. I used the mainline salty squid wafters, which are like a washed out pink colour. Fished them on a big hook, so it just to stay settled above the gravel, which had like a fine layer of silt on top of it, and made that change. The rod was in the water an hour, and then bang, we had that 38 pounder. So looks like on this occasion I got it right for for once. But anyway, we're now en route to the next venue. There wasn't many waters that began with Y. There was the Yateley waters, but although they are on the Yateley complex, the name of the lake doesn't actually begin with a Y. So yeah, there wasn't many waters to choose from, but one we did have was Yeoman's Lake on the Linear complex. Good job that wasn't full of coffee. So yeah, that's where we're going now. We're making the, well, it's nearly 2 hours to get to Oxford. So we're on our way there. Sky's looking marginally brighter than what we've just left. It doesn't look like it's going to absolutely chuck it down. So yeah, let's get our foot down. We're just about to go on to the M1. So I shall I'll see you at Linear. Hey baby, don't ever look back.
Well, I spent an hour in this swim, didn't see anything after I made them 3 casts with them solid bags. And the bailiff just came round. He said when he was driving round he saw a few fish poke their heads up right at the top end of the lake on the back of the wind. Just had a little jog up there, left Harry in charge of the rods. Little jog up there and they're fizzing like mad in all the calm water on the back of the wind. So we don't have much time. We need to get up there now. It's going to be dark within the next half hour. So no time for messing around. Get up there, get three rods out and hopefully we can nick a fish before it gets dark with a bit of luck. Well, I've just made 3 casts with 3 solid PVA bags. Fish have just shown there, that's encouraging. I do feel a lot more confident since the move. I mean, I've only been sat here 10 minutes and I've had a couple of liners already, which is more than what I received in the past hour in the other swim. In situations like this where you have got fish fizzing in front of you, you can't repeatedly make cast after cast after cast. It has to be literally bang, 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 and that's it. Otherwise, you'll just ruin your chances. So that's all I've done. I just sort of stood around, waited to see a fish fizz up, a solid bag, just cast straight to it, and that's all it's done. Minimum disturbance. There's fish still feeding the swims, fish still present, so they certainly aren't bothered by any commotion or anything like that. They are still here. So yeah, going into this night, I'm feeling quietly confident. Might have just jinxed it by saying that, but there's fish in front of me anyway, and the rods are in the water, and there isn't really a great deal more I can do. But I mean, if I haven't caught anything by the morning, then I might not be quite as buoyant as I am right now, because the clock is ticking, and I still haven't even thought of a venue outside the country to catch a fish, especially one beginning with the letter C. So yeah, actually now I think about it, I think I'm going to get the kettle on, get the barbecue on, and I think I need to do a bit of Googling.
Looking at the lakes in France, I mean, first one sort of sprung to mind. Obviously, you got Shanty, Cork, Cassian. It'll take me like a day just to drive down there non-stop. That's not even like that's not even kind of putting the fact that I haven't got my passport into the equation. So,
but well, you don't. It doesn't have to be France. You just said outside of England, Scotland.
It's August. It's their winter. Everywhere will be frozen. Can't go there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wales?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're about, I don't know, Oxford to Wales, 2.5 hours. I get it now. I get it now. I get it now. Carp lakes in Wales. There must be some beginning with C. Everything begins with C in Wales. Well, butter my bollocks. There's one here. There's one. There's one. There's actually a couple beginning with C. Sorted. It's an absolutely one toner ripped off, and we're playing a fish. Oh, he's a mid-double. Oh, I'm not fully awake, but I'm very happy. Right, let's get the mat, let's have a look at him. And here he is, a little bit bigger than I first thought actually, probably about 17, maybe 18 pounds. And that means it is Y done and dusted. I think all I can do now is get back in the bag for a couple hours kip, because we need to be on the road at first light. Fishery I've picked in Wales, their gates don't open till 7 AM. So we do need to be on the road at first light if we're going to be at those fishery gates when they're just open. So that's exactly what I'm going to do now. Let's get him back. I've just seen the cost of the toll bridge. I think we need to take a mortgage out on this one. Jesus. £12.80 to cross a bridge. Jesus. Is there anywhere else we can go to? It'd be cheaper to drive to Scotland. Here we are, this is the final venue of the challenge. This is the sea in Carpy. At the moment we've got Arpy, so we need the sea. This is Cefn Mably Fishery in South Wales. That's Cardiff Angling Centre just behind me, and here's the lake. Never seen it before. I didn't even know the place existed a few hours ago until I googled it on my iPhone. And yeah, never seen the lake before, I just saw the pictures that came up on my phone. Lovely looking lake, lovely looking complex. Kind of got a bit lucky really with this one, I think. When we got here about 15 minutes ago, it was flat calm. There's fish fizzing up all over in front of me. I just hope it isn't kind of reminiscent of how this challenge all began when we were at Rising Sun. There was fish fizzing up all over and they turned out to be bream and we had a bit of a nightmare. But I'm hoping that isn't going to be the case this time. So yeah, we need one fish. I've got 22 hours to do it. I'm kind of ahead of schedule. So let's get the kit out of the van and we'll see what we can do. Well, as you can see, as sun's come out, it's warmed up massively. I think any hopes of catching anything off the bottom pretty much all been quashed. There's quite a lot of fish cruising around just under the surface. Now and then they'll just sort of poke their dorsal fins up and poke their heads up. It's great for a bit of floater fishing, but sadly floater fishing isn't allowed on here. So it's going to be 2 zigs fished a few inches under the surface, and I'm still confident. It's the main thing. Well, not for the first time this challenge as a tactical change brought about quick results. 10 minutes on a little zigger liner, 4 inches under the surface. Ouch! I want to swear so badly. Right, let's get it straight back out there. I've got nothing else to say. Oh, that'll teach you being cocky, won't it? It's 2 o'clock in the afternoon now. There's still a few fish in front of me, not as many as there were, but the dilemma I'm faced with is I can only be in this swim until 4 o'clock, and then this peg is booked out to another angler. And there's only one other swim free on the lake, and since we've been here, I haven't seen a single fish in that peg. So the way I see it is, if I don't catch in the next 2 hours, I'm going to be going into a swim where there is no fish and no hope of passing the challenge. So if it doesn't happen in the next 2 hours, I think we can almost say it's game over. So quite frankly, I'm bricking it. And all I keep going over in my mind is that fish that I lost an hour ago. It's... Oh, come on, carp gods. Time is now 3:23. 35 minutes before we've got to be out of the swim. And it's rattled off. And you wouldn't believe how much I am praying right now that this fish stays on, because this really is last chance saloon as far as I'm concerned. I feel like I film Alien. I goes, that's what my heart feels like it's going to do right now. Should have a couple of speakers behind me to play that dramatic music instead of like editing it in afterwards. It should happen live. Pardon. Now he's seeing the net, he isn't very happy. That's it, stay there, stay there, stay there. No, yes! Oh! Oh! Can we go home now? Oh. Wasn't that hard, was it, really? Piece of cake. Oh. Guess that'll be the job done then, eh? See you. I can't see you. Yeah, still a little bit in shock, really. Let's have a look at him. Before I mentioned I'd only had a handful of hook pulls in all the times I've been using zigger liners, and you can see with this one, it's about 1.5 inches back in the mouth, bottom lip absolutely nailed, and that's what they're like 99 times out of 100. And here he is, probably one of the most special carp I've ever caught. Lovely Keffin Mabley Welsh mirror, about £17, but size is irrelevant, isn't it? Like I said, it's one of the most special, memorable carp I've caught in a long, long time. I'd say my heart was in my mouth from the second I hooked this fish, especially after that hook pull. And I'm still a little bit in shock, if I'm honest. It's been an epic few days, highs and lows. I think what I'm going to do though, I'm going to slip this fish back and have a little reflection on what's gone on since the start of this challenge. Well, I never honestly thought we would get to this stage. When I first heard this challenge, I didn't think it was passable, simply because of the logistics involved. I mean, I live way up north, and the travelling, I mean, we've travelled hours between venues, and even just loading and unloading the van has taken an absolute age. So I think it's fair to say though, there has been quite a lot of key moments throughout this entire challenge where things have gone right at the right times and made it possible. It all started at Rising Sun when I made that change from PVA bags to boilies, and that got me a fish very, very quickly. You could argue I should have made the change sooner, but made the change and got the fish. We then went over to A1 pits, and I mean, that was a bit of a nightmare for me, to be honest. Didn't have a wink of sleep, hardly. Was kept awake all night, catching 5-pounders. Lost what felt a good fish in a snag right by my feet, and then luckily managed to land a double-figure fish to get the next pass. And then obviously there was the Patson Syndicate on Northie. It was looking so grim. We spent 24 hours. It was looking like it was just going to be a fail. I couldn't see a fish coming if we'd have stayed there for the rest of that week. It just looked grim. Made a tactical change from the hinge stiff rigs and pop-ups onto the balance wafter hook baits and get a 38-pounder within an hour. I mean, talk about key moments and things going right. That was just, it was mind-blowing, wasn't it? Then we went over to the Yeoman Syndicate, and that was a little bit of luck, really. We didn't get there till quite late, and we got that tip off the bailiff, who recommended trying up the top end. Made that move, there was fish there. The last PVA bag hit the water just as it was dark. I mean, if we'd have been caught in traffic on the way there or anything, you know, we would have ran out of time and it would have just been blind pub chucks. But managed to get the PVA bags where the fish were fizzing, where they were feeding, And then 1 o'clock this morning, it rattled off, which meant we could get on the road for first light and get down here. And when we came over to Kefin Mabley, the peg we were in, we only had it for a few hours, and then it was going to be taken up by another angler. So it was a race against the clock, because the peg we would have had to move in, there was no fish there. So you did talk about key moments, and then with the zigs, we made the change through the zigs from fishing on the bottom with little PVA sticks towards fizzing fish. And we've been chopping and changing with zigs, and it was a zig fish 2 inches under the surface that brought about the fish, and there was the lost fish, of course. And I thought that was going to be, I thought it was going to spell disaster, but 35 minutes to go before we had to move swims, and that was it, done. So yeah, highs and lows, and we've now got a very long drive back home, but doesn't matter. But there you go, that is it. That is the Carpy Challenge. Done and dusted, ticked off, finished, finitoed, wrapped up, game over, in the bag, that's it. But throughout this session, I haven't really gone into a great amount of detail about the rigs and the tactics I've used. There simply hasn't been the time. It's been get a fish, get gone. So if you would like to see all the tactics and rigs and methods I've used in more detail, then you can check out the videos on YouTube. So thanks for watching, see you next time.
Now that was a monumental effort from Mark, and to catch a 38-pounder from Northey Park on his first night, well sir, I doff my cap. It's early evening here now. I haven't had any action since that comment earlier on today. So I've repositioned the hook baits, obviously fresh ones, and I've topped the baited area up a little bit with a few more free offerings. One, there's been an awful lot of bird activity out there today. I don't know how much damage they've done and how much bait they've picked up. And two, it adds a fresh element of bait into the area, obviously increases the attraction and adds an element of confusion to it also. So, when I'm using a spread of baits, what I normally do is I use a stiff link pop-up. This is a slight variation of it. I've got about 6 inches of 20-pound Camotech soft as my boom section, and the stiff uplink to a size 5 SR hook. It's a rig that I've used, well, for years now, and it's been successful everywhere I've taken it. But there is a slight difference. We now make chod rigs, which is identical almost to the uplink that I use on my stiff link. I never thought that I would ever use a rig where somebody else has tied the knots, but these are so well made, and probably, if I'm honest, a little better than the ones that I make. I'm very, very happy with them. I've put a more severe curve in it. I put it on my in my chod bin, just steamed it, and put a little bit more of an aggressive curve in it. It's what I like, it's what I've got confidence in, and it works for me. Now, as much as I may use this rig a lot on a helicopter rig, I very often use it on a leg clip. And it looks pretty normal, but there is one subtle difference. I've got my anti-tangle sleeve on the hook link, a 3-ounce lead on a leg clip, and the difference is the tail rubber. There is no tail rubber on the market that caters for the man who doesn't want to use leaders or is restricted by the laws of the fisheries concerning leaders. This one tapers right down so it sits flush with your main line, and because it's so flush, it cuts down incredibly on the likelihood of tangles. It's neat, it's tidy, and it works, and that's all I've ever really wanted from my fishing. My rigs are out, I've rebaited the spots, and now it's over to the carp. And you are going over to the Netherlands. For some time now, Lewis Porter's been speaking to a fishery owner over there about an up-and-coming holiday venue. And last August, himself and Steve Spurgeon were invited over to sample the delights of the fishing in the Netherlands. The fishing was hard. The average size of the fish was big, but they were absolutely stunning. The venue's name? Carplantis.
Well, that's my third and final rod out for this evening. Steve's just out in the boat placing his final rod. We're at Carplantis fishery in northern Holland, near this town of Assen. We arrived about 3 hours ago. We came over on the overnight ferry from Harwich last night. It's an overnight crossing. We docked at the Hook of Holland this morning. We had a 2.5 hour drive to the venue. Very nice, comfortable journey. And we're at the venue, Carplantis. About 18 acres, stunning fishery, home to some massive carp up to mid-50s, which is truly big for Holland. We've got 3 nights ahead of us. We're going to tinker with our tactics, have a little play about on this first night and see if we can find something that these Carplantis fish like. Camp's all set up, rods are in. So I'm going to get the barbecue lit, chill out for this evening, unless the carp decide otherwise. See you in the morning. Well, Steve's up to fish, and unfortunately it's kited massively to his right, gone into this reed bed to the right on my side of the swim. I've got a H block just nestled on the side of the reeds as a marker to come away from the bank, and I think it might just be caught up in that. So the best chance we've got of landing the fish is for me and Steve to go in the boat. Yeah, I've got this net here. Go out in the boat. Is it still on, Steve?
Yeah, it's just round a couple of reed stems, mate.
You feel it kicking?
Yeah, it's definitely still on there.
I can see it.
Yeah.
It's just on the...
Try and coming around a little bit to the left, mate. We're coming from the other way. I think it's going to be easier to net.
Yeah, I've got it.
Whoa, good. It is a good fish.
Yeah. Easy.
I ain't going to play it too hard.
Alright, it's alright.
That is just, it's just under round that stem, mate. It's only round one.
I've got it.
Go on.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Hang on.
Whoa. Yes, mate.
I got it, yes.
Nice one.
Hang on. Oh, that's got to be it. That's not far off the 4-0.
It's a good fish. It's a belter as well. Result.
First one.
Nice one.
Can't believe it's kited that far.
I know.
Powerful fish. So powerful. Awesome. That's a great. Oh yeah. What a fish. A few reeds.
Yeah. Just nipped on the edge of them out there.
Oh, look at the scales.
There she is. As I said, first fish of the trip, 38.5 pound, absolute belter. As we said earlier, it's not a runs water, but we've been here less than 24 hours and this is the average stamp of the fish in here. There's obviously a fish a lot bigger than this in here. But yeah, real beautiful carp. And the first Dutch carp for me.
Well, I never did get the chance to talk you through the mix that me and Steve were both feeding from the boat as he got that 38 pounder. So whilst he repositions that rod, I'll take the opportunity now to talk you through the mix that we're both feeding. The base of the mix comprises of these low oil coarse pellets. You can get them from all good pet feed places in 20 kilo sacks. They're relatively cheap and they have a really quick breakdown time, so they become mushy very quickly, giving off lots of attraction, but they're low in oil. The carp absolutely love them. The second half of the base of the mix is particle. We've got a mixture here of hemp, buckwheat, maples, tares, everything that carp love. Lots of little pieces on the bottom to get them grubbing around and really turn them on. So we'll put a good helping of that in as well. As me and Steve are both big fans of hemp, we want plenty of it in the mix. So in addition to that party blend we're putting in, we're also adding extra hemp as well. There's not a carp swimming in the whole of the world that doesn't like hemp. And you can't overdo it. Next into the mix, good old sweet corn. Really high vis. The water's got a bit of algae on it. The owner coast told us it's come on in the last couple of days. So the water's not as clear as we thought it was going to be. So by adding this sweet corn in, it's really, really visual. And any passing fish that are coming over are going to notice it and hopefully dip down and make a mistake. Next up, we've got boilies in whole form and also in crumb form. This crumb again, once it's wetted up, absorbs loads of the flavours from the particles we're using, creates a really mushy, active mix on the lake bed that really just gives the fish something to home in and rather than just boring plain boilies on their own. So in goes the crumb. We're also using something that neither of us have ever used before, and that's HydroPro boilies from KGB. Now Coast the Lake owner actually owns a bait company, KGB. So these fish are being reared basically on this HydroPro boilie. So it really makes sense for both of us to be adding a bit of that in our mix. And Steve even caught his 38 pounder using one of these hook baits. Got to use a bit of the going bait. We'll give it a good mix up. And as you can see already, we've got a really, really attractive mix here. So many different particle sizes, attractors, flavours, colours. The fish have got plenty of options there to come in and feed on. It also gives us lots of hook bait options should we want to experiment. As I said, Steve's had a fish on the HydroPro wafter. I've just changed one of my rods over to a HydroPro wafter as well. It's done the only bite so far, so it's got to be worth a shot for me as well. One thing we're doing though to complete the mix is actually adding some lake water. What this does just speeds up the breakdown time of the pellet in the mix and just helps us to create the mush that we want to get that really cloudy effect. In about 15-20 minutes time, those pellets would have broke down into a mush, giving us, in true Blue Peter form, one I made earlier, a finished mix that looks like this. Really, really attractive. You can ball it up should you wish. We're just putting it in its sort of raw form, so it flutters down on the lake bed and creates a really widely spread area of lots of attraction. So that's the mix we're using. That's what Steve's bites come over. Seems to be doing well for us so far, so fingers crossed there's more to come. And I'll hand you over to Steve, who's going to talk you through the rig he used to catch that stunning 38 pounder.
Well, you've just seen me land that fish, so what I'm going to do now is talk you through the presentations I'm using and the hook length setups. So to start with, this is my lead arrangement. As you can see, there's anti-tangle tubing on there. The reason I'm using this is the fishery itself doesn't allow any kind of leaders, and personally I prefer something behind the lead. So I've just gone with about 16 inches of anti-tangle tubing. Around the top of that I've moulded some power grip putty just to help it sink away. Moving down from that, standard lead clip arrangement. Again, I want to be able to dump the lead. There's a lot of reeds around the lake. If it does get in those, the lead should release, but if it's just out in open water, it's not going to be a problem and the lead should stay on there. It's 5 ounces because I'm dropping from a bait boat or the boat. So again, I want it to get down there, stay down there, and it gives me a lot of weight to hook the fish. On the end of that is a quick change swivel, which means I can change my hook length very quickly and adapt as I need to. So if I show you the hook length or the hook lengths I've been using. This is the one that actually caught me the fish to start with. Starting off, I'll have a loop tied in the end of the hook length material. The hook length material itself is 20 pound Majestic stiff in light. As you move down the hook length, I've got a small piece of power grip putty just moulded around the centre just to help it sink. And then there's probably about 1/4 of an inch of stripped coating there, just so I have some movement there, so it'll move around nicely. If it's wafted around at all, it should keep sitting back nicely. There's a liner sleeve there onto the hook. The hook itself is a size 6 XSC, super strong, super sharp hook. And on there, I've set that up on a little ring, blowback style. So again, there's loads of movement there. There's a lot of nuisance fish in here. If they come around in the swim, wafting things around, it'll reset itself, especially with the stiff hook length material, even if it gets picked up and dropped. So that's that one. The pop-up rig, again, I started off with 2 of these on and one sort of wafter type setup. Again, Camatech stiff, 20 pound light, piece of putty again moulded round. Down from that, there's a quick change weight BB, which is perfect for sinking the pop-up size I'm using, which is about 15 mil. There's a little bit of movement between the end of the stripped coating and the half a withy pull sleeve that I've got on there, which creates a really aggressive angle. On the hook itself is attached to a micro hook ring swivel, loads of movement, and then on there to stop it going any further up the shank is a hook bead. So this is another rig that again picked up, move around, but it'll drop back in the position it starts off in. So because these baits could be out there for 24 hours or longer, you certainly want to be confident that those baits are fishing as they should be. The bait or the rig that actually done the damage, as I said, was the one with the Hydra Pro on, which was a wafter setup. Because that's done the first fish of the session, I've changed one of my other rigs over now. So I've taken one of the pop-up rigs off, changed that over and put a hybrid wafter on there. So I'm fishing with 2 wafters now and 1 pop-up presentation. So hopefully now I've got another wafter out there, that'll do me another fish.
Steve, we're moving into night number 2 of 3. It's been a pretty good day, you got to admit. You know, we set our stall out to catch 1 fish every 24 hours if we could, and so far so good.
Yeah, obviously well pleased with that fish today. Stunning fish. Obviously caught it on one of the different presentations we had out there, which was a wafter. So it's made me, although I'm happy with my spots and I've stuck to those, it's made me change at least another rod over to the same presentation.
And I have as well. Put one on the Hydra Pro wafter as well.
Yeah, I mean at the start we said, you know, you've got to look at it. If you get a bit of confidence in it, you've had a bite on that rod, then obviously it's worth changing over.
Well, it's not known for its night fishing form in the last few weeks. However, whilst the baits are out there, there's always a chance. So get another brew on, and hopefully next time we see you will be to report a nice big Carplantis fish.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Yeah, good luck.
Good luck, mate. Proper throw me now, isn't it?
Well, it's about 24 hours since I last spoke to you, and I'm afraid there's not a great deal to report. Neither myself or Steve have caught anything, and in fact between the pair of us we've seen 1 fish all day. It's really drawn on today because we had so much expectation after catching one yesterday that today would really be productive, and I'm afraid it's just not happened. We've had all sorts of weather conditions. We've had bright sun, we've had wind, we've had hailstones, we've had rain. It's been a really mixed bag today, and unfortunately the fish just haven't responded. And we're at a bit of a lost as to explain why, other than the fact that there's this algae bloom on the water that came on a few days ago. So the owner of Coast said there's far more naturals in the water than he's known previously, and whether the fish are just occupied on the naturals and not interested in feeding on anglers' bait, we don't know. Unfortunately, we've only got until about 3 or 4 o'clock tomorrow to try and put the score straight with these Carplantis fish. But at the minute they're beating me and Steve well and truly, I think. So a lot of respect for the fishing, and just got to carry on and try and muscle up something before we go. But to be honest with you, I'm not really feeling it now. Yesterday I was, but it's just not looking good. The fish just don't seem interested. They're not showing, and they're not feeding, obviously. So, but it is fishing, and I've been here before. Like I said yesterday, when we filmed our foreign DVDs, and the guys have had 2 or 3 bites in no time at all. So it can change, and it has to at some stage, and hopefully it does before we go. But if it doesn't, I think both me and Steve will be back, because it's a stunning venue. We're fully aware of the fish that are in here, and they're there to be caught. Just whatever we had to offer so far hasn't been good enough. But it's not over until the fat lady sings, as they say. Hopefully I'll have something more positive to report before we leave tomorrow.
Well, whilst Lewis's confidence seemingly all but shot away yesterday evening, I still had a little bit. And while he was doing his little evening report, we'd only seen one fish probably all day. I saw one show out over his shoulder about 80 yards in front of me. Now, I thought not a lot was happening, so I thought I'd bring a rod in, put a 2-bait stringer on it, little hybrid wafter, a little bit of visual bait on top of it, a little bit of rubber. I've cast it out there, it's been out all night, and it's gone off this morning. So it certainly feels like another good fish. Let's hope it is.
Just put in.
Yeah, it's having a go. It's had a go out there. It's saved off a lot now actually. It's coming in a lot easier, but it still feels a chunk.
Well, that was on the one you cast.
That was on 2-bait stringer, mate. Oh, come on. It's only on the edge of this one. Oh, I can see it. That's a chunk.
Good tail, isn't it?
That's a chunk. Looking at the size of that tail that just popped up there. It's a good 30. It's a definite 30.
Goes to show as well, you ain't got to drop them from the boat, have you?
No, it's probably in about 20 odd foot of water there. So I didn't have a mark up or anything like, but being out in the boat with the sound and stuff like that, looking at that distance from the bank, that's a good one, mate. That's an upper 30, possibly even a 40. That looking at that, he's well beat, Lou. You can get him first time, mate.
Yes. Go on, the old Spurgeonator.
Man, what do you reckon? Let's have a look. Let's have a proper look. Right, that's got some width.
That's got to be close to £50, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd like to think so, but it's a 40. It's a definite 40.
How broad it is.
Right, okay. Well, what I'm going to do is break the neck down and then transport her over. One thing I should say as well is at Carplantis, all the slings, mats and nets are all provided, so you won't need to bring your own. So you get a real nice big unhooking mat. Let's just get her unhooked first. Oh, that's in there.
Bit of cold?
Yeah. It's just grabbed a lump of flesh just nearly in the middle of the bottom lip. Yeah, that wasn't coming off. Put it that way. Well, the sling's all zeroed in, so we'll get her weighed up there. Cheers, Lou. what we'll do is we'll get a wade, and then we'll get back in the edge for a minute while we sort out the old camera equipment for a few photos.
What do you reckon, mate?
It looks mid 40 to me. It's definitely a 40. I can tell just by lifting it there. It's a chunk of the fish.
Little hand each.
Yeah, go for it. 46.2?
Yeah.
46.
46.
That'll do.
Go on, the old.
That'll do. Bigger than I thought it was. I was opening it off, well, I was pretty sure it was a 40, but woo, cheers mate, nice one. Right, I'm just going to pop this in the edge and we'll get the photo equipment sorted out. Oh. Well, I can't say it's been easy. It has been pretty tough, but we knew these fish were in here. And I've just had this one at £46 2 ounces. It's an absolute stunner. This is why we came to Carplantis, because the average stamp of the fish is big. And certainly for Holland standards, this is a very big carp. Well, last year filming for the DVD, I managed to have a Euro PB coming out in the Ebro. This year at Carplantis, I managed to have a Euro PB mirror. So, can't believe my luck, to be quite honest. We've got about 7 hours left, and I hope there's time for another one, and I really do hope that it's Lewis's turn for one, because he has tried hard and he's fished hard. So, there we go, I'm absolutely made up. What a brilliant result.
Right, well, I'm a little bit speechless because I've completely written it off. Literally, I think last time I looked at the clock, it was just after 2 o'clock. I'd set an alarm for 3:30 because we needed to get our rods reeled in and head back to the Hook of Holland to get the ferry home. The middle rod absolutely melted off. You just can't understand how happy I am. I mean, I've sat here for 3 days, racking my brain, willing the carp to switch on. I've watched Steve catch an absolute stunner of a 38 pounder. Oh, it's all right, it's quite a chunky fish. I've then watched him bag himself a new overseas PB mirror this morning, and I thought it weren't going to happen, but I went back to what I know, which we'll talk about in a second, and yes! I went back to what I know, and it's got me out of jail literally at the 11th hour. Well, they say it's not over until the fat lady sings, and literally we're packing all our gear down. We've got about an hour left before we have to reel in and head back to England. My middle rod's just melted off on a bar that I'm fishing at about 60 yards range in about, I think it's about 4.4 metres from memory. I put my old faithful hinge stiff rig on last night, even though Harry the cameraman was saying I'm a bit of a one-trick pony, wanting me to experiment and use other rigs for the filming, so I've been mucking about with wafters and all sorts, and then last night I put the old stiff rig on the middle rod and it's rattled off. Fluoro pink homemade pop-up, and absolutely over the moon with this. It saved a blank. It's the third fish that me and Steve have had between us, so we've hit our target. We wanted one every 24 hours between us, which we've achieved. And yeah, 32 pound of Carplantis mirror carp. We'll turn this one to a watery home, and me and Steve will soon be returning to our homes. So before myself and Steve reel in and head home, we'll just quickly talk through the rig that I've just landed that fish on. So a bit different to Steve. Steve was using trans-khaki tubing due to the leader ban. I've opted for the tapered Exocet mainline straight through. So I've got 0.50 diameter mono at the lead end, which is the same diameter as the 30-pound Illusion fluorocarbon that I would normally be using if I was allowed to use a leader. So it's nice and thick, heavy. It sinks well of its own accord, but what I've done as well is added a couple of tungsten sinkers and then moulded some putty around them. So underneath these blobs of putty is a sinker, and that just helps to pin it down that little bit more. Simple transcarky lead clip, this is a slick one. Did have a 5-ounce lead on, but that ejected on the take as the fish did actually, in the early stages, just kite around a couple of reed stems to the right-hand side here. So the lead clip did its job, ejected the lead, and the fish became free, and as you saw, I landed it with no problem. Anti-tangle sleeve, and then I won't go into too much detail because this will be the third Edges DVD in a row you've seen me talk about this rig, so I don't want to sound like a broken record, but hinge stiff rig. This is the new semi-stiff Camatex that we're testing at the minute. It's slightly too supple for my liking. I have asked the product guys if they can do a stiffer version, and they're just waiting for a sample of that to come. It's just a little bit too supple for my liking. 30-pound rigidity, and that bright pink pop-up I talked about that's really visual in this murky water with a tinge of algae in it. Size 5 SR. Like I say, tried and trusted. I'd gone 2 days without using it, put it on last night, and well and truly got me out of the blank that I was facing, so happy days. Well, as you can see, the van's loaded and it's time for me and Steve to head back to the UK. We've had 3 fantastic days at Carplantis, some proper highs and some proper lows, in my case especially. But yeah, what a session, eh Steve?
Yeah, it's been great, mate. I mean, we sort of aimed for 3 fish. We got the 3 fish, including a 46-pounder, 2 30s, and it looks like they're about to really turn on. I mean, 2 of those fishing in the last, what, 8 hours?
Last 8 hours. Typical, that's fishing for you. You can only catch in the time that you've got ahead of you, and that's what we've done. I'm happy, you're happy.
Yeah.
Great venue, and yeah, I think we'll be returning.
Yeah, it's one for me to come back to without a doubt. Seeing the fish in here, fantastic, and they're only going to get bigger.
Right then, back to England.
Let's go.
Weren't Steve's fish absolutely awesome? Carplantis is obviously a very, very special place. It's early morning here at Farlows after a very, very quiet night. I didn't get a single bleep. I stayed up as long as I could and woke up at various stages through the night and watched the water for a while. I haven't seen a single thing. However, about an hour ago, the man behind the camera, Harry, saw a fish about 20 yards to the left of where my hook baits have been. So it makes sense to stay here. That's the only bit of activity we've seen over the past sort of 16 to 18 hours. I've repositioned the hook baits. I put a spot of 10 and 14 mil boilies over the top of those 2 baits, and now I've got to sit down and wait. I am allowed to use 3 rods here, so my 3rd rod, which I normally use as a cast around an experimental rod, is now fishing on a spot that I was reliably informed yesterday by a guy who's fished at Farlows for 20 odd years, that if the sun comes out I will definitely get a bite from it. It's been there for an hour and nothing's happened. Rome wasn't built in a day, unfortunately, and I might have to wait a little while longer. It's September now and Lewis Porter's back on the bank. This time he's in Cambridge at a brand new day ticket venue. And this time he's done it a little bit differently and allowed the man behind the camera and the man behind the Edges DVDs to get his rods out. And I've got a sneaky feeling it wasn't the wisest decision he ever made.
Well, it's exactly 1 week since myself and Steve left you at Carplantis in the Netherlands, and I'm back on the bank, and this time back in the UK, fishing on a really exciting new water in Cambridgeshire called Holme Fen. It opens at the end of the spring in 2015, and the owners just allowing members of the press and friends and syndicate members from the other waters that they have test fish the venue just to make sure that the fish have seen a bit of angling pressure before it opens to the general public. It's a big piece of water, about 30 acres, and it's stocked with only about 170 carp, so It's by no means a runs water, and the idea, I believe, from talking to the owners, is to create a big fish venue on a day ticket, as many syndicates now, especially in this area of the country, have got very long waiting lists. So I've started walking around. I'm about, I don't know, a quarter of the way around. I've yet to see anything pop its head out or show or anything, so I'm just going to make my way right round the venue, just sort of getting towards the end of the wind here. Hopefully we'll see a few fish on the end of the wind. It's blowing a northeasterly at the minute. And yeah, plan is try and find a fish or two showing, and set up on some fish, because we don't really have anything else to go on. It's water I've never seen before, so let's get cracking. Right, well, I've just spent the best part of an hour walking around the lake, and we've not seen a great deal, to be honest with you. Sat up on the end of the wind for quite a while, and looked pretty lifeless, and the water up that end especially is gin clear, whereas we've come around onto the back of the wind. It's not a strong wind by any stretch, but it is a northerly wind. Come onto the back of the wind, and the water has a little bit more colour to it. It's still not muddy by any stretch, but it's got definitely some more colour to it, and we've seen 2 fish show in the space of about 5 minutes, just in this sort of secluded bay off the back of the wind. So it looks as good a bet as any as a starting point. I think what I'm going to do is just get a couple of rods rigged up and just wait for another fish to show, flick them out onto them, handful of bait, and I think we've got probably a good couple of hours before I need to decide where I want to actually fish for this evening and get the bivvy up and everything. So a couple of rods, mat and a net, and it's as good a starting point as any, and then we'll decide where to fish for this evening a little bit later on. Right, well, it hasn't taken long. I've literally got three rods out. You might be able to see behind me, just on the deck. One's there. I've got another one just behind Harry. Just literally, I put 2 out on a little PVA bag of pellets with a wafter hook bait, and then 1 on a chod. And I was just happy if I felt the lead touch down, I left it. So I think I made 5 or 6 casts in total, all 3 rods. Lead's touched down, and it felt okay. And yeah, literally, I don't know, 10 minutes and it's away. There's actually another fish swimming with it in the water. I can see 2 fish. That's really weird. I just looked down the bank actually just before I got the bite, because Harry's actually getting to fish as well on this session for a change. So he was just having a lead around still. I think his area, what he's gone in, is a little bit weedier by the sounds of it. And this is the first fish that I've caught using the new Transcarky Illusion mainline. I usually prefer to fish with a mono mainline with a fluorocarbon leader, but the rules on this particular venue is that there are no leaders allowed, so I've gone with the fluorocarbon mainline because I knew it was a gin clear gravel pit, and you cannot beat the visibility that you get with that Transcarky, and it's like the fish don't know they're being fished for, and you can get bites pretty damn quick. Really putting up a good battle. There's a lot of weed in the margin. Got my wellies on. Might have to get waders out later on in the session if it proves too problematical, but get this one in. Yes! Hey, happy days. Looks a good fish. 20 pounder for sure. First one in the bag. Been here for about, well, been fishing for about 15 minutes. So buzzing. Is that one showing me? Right, we've just weighed her up and she was 29 pounds and 8 ounces. What a great start. Fantastic looking fish. As we'll show you, look at that. Caught on a little hybrid wafter hook bait on a little simple Illusion D rig, which we'll talk about in more detail at a later stage on this session. But for now I'm going to get this cracking fish back and get the rods back out, because I've just seen another one show not too far away, so looks like we found them. Happy days. Well, look at that bad boy. It's been about 3 hours since I caught the first fish. Obviously stayed put, got the rod back out, and it's the same rod that's away with this beauty at 32 pounds and 14 ounces. An absolute steam train of a fish, gave me a real good fight. And yeah, it's a great start. Like I say, 3 hours in, 2 fish on the bank, absolutely fantastic. I think what we're going to do, we've got about an hour or so of light left. We're going to get the bivvies up and set up camp here for tonight. We haven't seen fish anywhere else. The only fish we're seeing are on the back of the wind. There's fish in front of me. There's fish in front of Harry down the bank as well. So yeah, this is as good a place as any to set up camp for tonight. And if there's anything else to report, I'll see you in a bit.
Well, first time in quite a while that I've managed to get out from behind the camera, and I'm in front of the camera and I'm holding a 32 pound 10 ounce mirror. So yeah, pretty good start for me. It took me a little bit longer to sort my rods out than Lewis because I was filming him doing so well earlier. But yeah, what a start. I've fed a couple of areas with a bit of pellet and a bit of KG1 and just fished pop-ups over all of the spots. And yeah, it's about 11 o'clock now and this one rattled off, so happy, very happy. Absolutely beasted me, properly beat me up, but yeah, mega pleased.
Well, good morning. Very quiet night for me, but at first light, my left-hand rod rattled off for this beauty, 30 pound 5 ounces. Harry's had a better night than myself. He's had 2 fish, a 28 pound common and a 30 pound mirror. It seems that the bay where I caught the fish from yesterday has gone very, very quiet. The fish must have moved out into the night, out into the main body of the lake perhaps, and further down to my left where Harry is. This fish actually came on my left hand rod, which is fished down to my left hand margin, not in the bay. And Like I say, Harry's had a couple of bites further down to my left, so I'm in two minds whether to move or whether to stay put, because this could be a daytime area, this bay that I've had the fish from yesterday. So I'm going to just stay for the time being. I've got my binoculars with me. I'm going to watch the water this morning, see if I can see anything elsewhere, and if not, I'll stay where I am, as I have had a few bites from here. So I'll get this one back. Harry will show you his couple of fish, and then we'll talk tactics. Well, check that out for an absolutely perfect common. It was a bit of a surprise, really. We didn't really expect to catch many commons. There are a lot of mirrors in here, but this is one of the originals from the lake, and yeah, I'm absolutely buzzing about this one. Absolutely annihilated me as well. Just ran me ragged, and eventually I managed to slip the net under it, and you can see why I'm a little bit pleased right now. Well, there's the last one of the night's flurry of activity. 34 pound 12 ounces. All three of the fish that I've had, they've come on the same rod, and it's fished in a little bit of a different spot to the other two. The other two are very clean and hard. This spot's got a little bit of weed over it, so I've been fishing long links and pop-ups, and once Lewis has shown you what he's doing, I'll run you through why I'm doing that. See you later, buddy. Now I'm going to talk you through the rig that I've been using on this session so far. It's a bit different to the rig that I use for the majority of my fishing. It's a fluorocarbon D rig, which I fish with a critically balanced wafter hook bait. Started playing around with this a few months ago, various different sessions, just as an alternative to my more blatant in-your-face stiff rig pop-up. I love the stiff rig pop-up, and I use it all the time when I'm fishing the boilie-only approach, but there are times when I'm fishing venues where I'm feeding with particles and pellets, and the fish are going to be feeding much tighter to the lake bed. And in that instance, I need a rig that presents a balanced hook bait on that lake bed in amongst the freebies. And on this session so far, I've been feeding with some particles and some pellets via the catapult into the bay that's produced 3 fish so far, and so it lends itself perfectly to a wafter hook bait. And with the water being as clear as it is here, the fluorocarbon just disappears, and I'm sure we can show you a bit of underwater footage that will show you just how good this material is on the bottom. So we'll start with the fluorocarbon, 16 pound. I'll just cut about 12 inches, like so. I take a hook. This is a size 5. I prefer big hooks, just a matter of preference, but for me, I've always think it's a bigger mouthful for the fish to try and eject. And all I do to start with is tie the hook on like I would do with a knotless knot, but obviously there's no loop in the end of the tag here. Make probably a good dozen turns around the shank so that the whipping is just in line with the point of the hook. Bring the line back through the back of the eye. Now the hook is secured like so. Next step is to take a mini hook ring swivel, thread the ring of the swivel onto the tag like so, and then we just pop the tag back through the back of the eye to create a D. We just pull that down, trim away a bit of the tag, and then we just blob it down with a light ever so carefully not to burn his fingers or damage the hook link. And that tag now cannot pass back out the eye of the hook because the blobbed section is preventing it from doing so. So I've created there a nice large D section, which when the hook bait's mounted on the swivel will give plenty of movement when a fish tries to eject the hook bait. Because this SR hook has an outturned eye, and the fluorocarbon as an element of stiffness to it. It creates a really nice angle, meaning there's no need for any shrink tubing, any liner liners, anything like that. It's a really nice wide gape there from the point of the hook to where the fluorocarbon exits the eye, meaning you get really good firm purchase on the bottom lip of the fish. And the hook holds I've had so far on this session and over the last few weeks that I've been using this rig have been really encouraging. So moving on, we'll then take a Trans-Khaki anti-tangle sleeve, thread that on like so, then we tie a loop in the end because I'm using a quick change swivel, so allowing me to change rigs very quickly should the hook point go. I can leave a fish in the net, just detach the rig, leave that with the fish in the net, put a new rig on, cast the rod back out and attend to the fish. And the loop I use, with this being fluorocarbon, is a loop called the Perfect loop. It's a very strong loop and doesn't damage the fluorocarbon in any way. So what we do is we create a loop like so, and then we take this tag and we bring it around the front of the loop and then behind it, and then the tag goes down in between the two loops here. So you've got this loop, and then the tag is going in between the pair of them, and then I'm trapping that with this finger here. Then take a baiting needle, take the front loop and bring it through under the back loop, and then it's just a case of adding some moisture working it down nicely like so. We just trim away the tag. The reason they call it the Perfect loop is because when you tie the knot into a stiff material like fluorocarbon, it doesn't kick off one way or the other, which you'd get if you used a figure of 8 or an overhand loop. This sits nice and straight, and like I say, it's very strong. Anti-tangle sleeve pulls up over that like so, and we're getting there with this rig. Not much left to do now. Next stage, a couple of blobs of tungsten putty. Now the fluorocarbon, being a heavy material as it is, sinks well as it on its own. However, I see no harm in adding just a couple of blobs of putty just to ensure it's pinned down, and when fish swim over it and it wafts up, the putty's just helping to bring it back down and reset itself nicely. A couple of blobs, like I say, sort of mouse dropping size, don't need to be too big, it's very dense material anyway. Really easy to work with this putty, literally just work it between your fingers and it's gripping on there lovely. So that's the rig. We'll just attach the hook bait now. It's ready to be cast into the lake. The hook bait I'm using is a hybrid wafter. I'm feeding with some hybrid boilies in addition to the pellets and particles that I'm baiting up with, so it makes sense to use a hook bait that mimics something that's out there that the fish are feeding on. And I attach it in just the same way as I attach pop-ups onto my stiff rig, which is with the method that's become affectionately known as the blob method. Let's take a small length of bait floss, we pass it through the eye of the mini hook ring swivel like so, bring the two sides up so they're about level, take the baiting needle, bring both tags into the gate of the needle like so, bring it through, and we just pull the bait onto the swivel so the barrel of the swivel pulls up inside the bait. This allows the hook bait to rotate fully. Gives it lots of flexibility and lots of movement on the lake bed, and again that's important in just giving the fish another element to deal with and allowing the hook bait to behave as natural as possible. Just trim that down so the tags are about a centimetre or so, and then we just carefully blob the 2 tags down like so. Give it a little pat there with the end of the lighter to seal it. Now that bait is not coming off on the cast. Even if the coots pick me up and drop the rig, it's not going to come off. It's nice and secure on there. And by having the barrel in one end, plugging it, and the blob section on the other end, although I've pierced the hook bait, it's now sealed, so it's not going to soak in too much water and take away the buoyancy of the hook bait. And that is the rig finished. Nice and simple, by no means revolutionary, but it's very effective and achieves exactly what I want, which is a balanced hook bait that just sits on the lake bed off the weight of the hook like so, in amongst the pellets and particles and boilies that the fish are feeding on, and ready to take hold. As you can see, the movement on that D as the fish tries to eject the bait, the hook bait comes down like so, leaving a really wide aggressive gape for the hook to take hold in the bottom lip. Simply fishing this with a lead clip arrangement with 16 pound fluorocarbon mainline straight through, a couple of blobs of putty up the line, and a 4 ounce lead. So far it's worked a treat.
This is my swim. Basically behind me, over my right hand shoulder, there's a small bay, and from the centre of that bay there's a bar, quite a shallow bar, probably 3 or 4 foot, that runs out in towards the centre of the lake, probably about 40-50 yards out into the lake. And when I got into the swim, just the other side of the bar there was the odd fish that poked its head out, so I thought the bar was an obvious place to put 2 of my rods. Now, one of my rods has done all of the bites, and that was placed sort of just on the side of the bar in about 4 feet of water, and it's quite weedy there, so I thought I needed to use something that I could present over the weed. A pop-up was going to be the obvious choice, and I've recently started using quite long links. Rather than like a helicopter rig or a chod rig that sort of slides up the line, I prefer to use a long link of supple braid or supple coated braid to sit over the top of that. So this is what I've been doing. I've got an inline lead there, fish drop-off style. So we've got the inline drop-off kit, the grommet in the back, plugs in, and that all falls away on the take. And then I've got about 14-15 inches there of Camotex soft. It's obviously very, very soft and supple, so when that sinks, when the pop-up sinks, the pop-up's critically balanced, and that's going to lay down over all of the weed. I've got a XSC hook there, and that's got a piece of shrink tubing over the eye, and that's very, very aggressively curved. So with that super sharp hook, that's going to turn and catch the bottom lip instantly. Like Lewis has done, I've mounted the hook bait on a micro hook ring swivel, although I've got a hook bead round the hook, so the swivel is actually mounted on the hook rather than on a D. And I've mounted the hook bait blob style as Lewis has done. And one of the sort of crucial points with this rig is that you need it to fall slowly so that it sits on top of the weed. So I've critically balanced the pop-up to my bit of tungsten putty, and what I also do is I get a piece of PVA foam, and basically I give it a lick, and then I put it round the hook, sort of covering the hook point. And basically that's going to cast out, and it's going to sit
like that until the PVA foam melts away, and then it's just going to slowly fall down, land on top of the weed, and I know that I'm presented every single time. And yeah, just over a scattering of boilies, it seemed to have done the trick and got me those bites last night. So hopefully it'll happen again tonight. It's not really seeming to be a daytime area. I haven't seen any fish, but I am confident that they'll come back in later this evening. Well, unfortunately, it's been a bit of a frustrating day today. The weather hasn't been kind to us. We've had flat, calm conditions, bright blue skies. It's been over 20 degrees, which in September is hotter than average. And a complete contrast to yesterday's overcast with a bit of ripple and yeah, so not a lot to report, I'm afraid. The fish haven't played ball. Myself and Harry have been watching the water like hawks all day today, just for any signs to sort of tell us to move, but unfortunately the fish haven't shown. So we've both decided that, given the fact that we've both caught from the swims we're in, we're going to take a gamble and stay put for our last night. So I've already got 2 rods out for this evening. I've just got to put the last one out now. It's all clipped up. I've got elastic on the line so I can get it back out every time. So all I need to do is just hook a little PVA mesh bagger pellet onto the rig, and then just make sure the line's not wrapped around the tip. Just aiming just to the well, pretty much towards the sun, basically, just to the side of the tallest tree on the horizon. It's only a light flick, it's not far out. It actually goes onto the clip. Down. Now, as I felt that lead go down through the water, as it's hit the lake bed, it's gone bang and the tip's cracked right back, indicating that it's a very hard, firm spot. There's weed all around it, and there's one big hard area. I've actually got 2 rods on it that the area is that big. But like I say, there's thick weed all around it, and as long as I land the cast in the area on the where I'm getting the real firm crack, I've had a few bites. So hopefully, although last night was pretty quiet, I'm hoping with the different weather conditions that maybe the fish might feed this evening in this area. Maybe I'm clutching at straws, but you've got to stay positive. I learnt my lesson last week out in Holland for thinking negatively, and things turned out all right in the end. And considering we've caught quite a few already, I don't think I'm in any position to be in a bad mood. It's a beautiful lake, it's a beautiful evening. We've caught some beautiful fish. Hopefully there'll be more, but if not, hey, it's been a great time. So I'll get this one on the alarm and the bobbin clipped on. I'm going to sit back and I'm going to cook myself and Harry some chicken, new potatoes and baked beans.
Well, last night was a a bit quieter than the previous night. I've had just the one bite and Lewis hasn't had any more, but check it out, 35 pound 2 ounces of an absolute breeze block mirror. Yeah, this one came on the slow sinking pop-up on the long link that I showed you yesterday. And the sun's up now, we've got a few more hours left. Not sure whether we're going to get a chance. I mean, we didn't have anything through the day yesterday and it's going to be similar today. But if we don't get another chance, what a way to end it, eh?
Well, we've literally just started packing up, and as always you leave your rods out till last, and rod tip started bending over. Yeah, and I'm in and it's absolutely ripped off. It's probably, I hooked it at about 40 yards and it's probably now at about 80 yards. Right, well, he's coming in. I wonder if I'll be able to scooch him across this bit of weed here. Looks a good fish. Could he get it in? Go on. Here we go. And he's in. How about that for a bit of last gasp effort? Happy days. Well, I didn't think it was this big. But at 39 pounds and 3 ounces, I'm blown away. What a lake! What a way to sort of end our session as well. Just unbelievable. Good job I had the bait in shallow water, I think, because in any more than about 4 feet, I don't think I would have had a bite on a day like this in September. But I'm just absolutely lost for words. Amazing. Well, what a fantastic end to a fantastic session that we've had here on Holme Fen. We've packed all our gear away. We literally just had the rods out and I heard a shout from Harry. I noticed the rod was bent over and he was into a fish. And the biggest one of the trip. Incredible. What an average size we've had, well over 30 pound. And when this lake opens in only a few months' time, the sport on offer is going to be unrivaled anywhere else in the UK. Looking back on the session, I feel now I've definitely made a mistake by staying put. Caught fish very early on the first day. We had low pressure, overcast conditions, and the fish were obviously comfortable on the back of the wind in the bay that I chose to fish, and I caught fish pretty quickly. Since then it's really gone very quiet. We've had high pressure conditions since yesterday morning, bright blue skies, and Harry, who's fishing these rods in only 4 foot of water compared to the 12 foot that I'm fishing in, has picked up a bite today in blazing hot conditions. It's well into 20 degrees and proof indeed that fishing the shallower water on hot days at this time of year can pay dividends. If I had my time again, of course I'd have moved swim yesterday, found a shallow area of the lake. That's my mistake, but I'm still going home very happy. I've had my biggest fish of over 32 pounds, seeing Harry catch that 35 this morning and finishing off with that 39. What a fantastic trip. If I've learnt one thing, don't let the cameraman fish.
A truly great result for both the guys there from a venue that's going to be remarkable in the very near future. Now, one of the most talked about sections of our DVDs are Rob Hughes' underwater investigations, and this time he's out scrutinising the efforts of England star Mark Bartlett. Now, Bart is recognised as one of the most accurate anglers in the business, but would the underwater cameras tell a different story?
One of the things we found out from last year's DVD was that you guys absolutely love a bit of underwater footage. So we're back again today and we're here at Greenacres Lake in Cambridgeshire, and we've got awesome hauler and England international Mark Bartlett with us today. Now, he fishes a very, very specific style of fishing almost everywhere he goes. Very tight, maggots, corn, hemp, that sort of thing over the top. And you know what? It works almost everywhere that he takes it. What we'd like to know, he would like to know, and also we're sure you would like to know, is what that style looks like under the surface.
The way I fish is, it's just sort of been naturally developed over the years that I've been fishing, really, and I've come to my own conclusion that this is the best way for me to fish. I sort of concentrate all my rods in one area, and I just fishing for almost a bite at a time. It just seems to work. Wherever I've gone, I fish for, you know, sort of big, hard fish to catch, and also out and out runs waters where you're catching an absolute boatload of fish, and it's just the same result. It puts fish on the bank, really, and I don't see why I should change, and I don't think I will. What I'm looking for out in the lake is somewhere where I can present free rods on a small area, where I can concentrate my feed rather than have like free baited areas in the swim for 3 different spots. You've got a much better chance of getting that bite by having 3 presentations in one area rather than just one with the same amount of bait. Where I'm actually going to fish in the lake it just depends on the lake, really, and especially with gravel pits, they're very clear, and with clear water you get weed a lot of the time. So for the style of fishing that I do, you have to find a spot, and sometimes I'd rather fish on a really clear area where I know I'm going to fish exceptionally well than fish where I want to fish but the bottom's not the right conditions for the fishing that I do. When I'm actually feature finding, what I found is the harder the spot, the better it is, especially in the way that I fished a lot of solid bags over the top, so these aren't like plugging in the bottom of the lake. They're on firm ground, presented absolutely perfectly, and again, a lot of, with the bait that I use, it's a lot of small particles, maggots, hemp, corn. These sit really nice on the gravel, and they don't get mixed up. If you have a soft bottom, I feel like the fish, if they're coming in and feeding, if they're stirring it up, sometimes the bait can be covered over, whereas on a clear, hard area, your bait's always going to be presented and your rig's always going to be presented equally as good over the top. So and I found also, I feel like you don't have to use so much bait because of this, because you've always got it presented perfectly. With the baits that I'm using, a lot of the time that can vary, no different to the spot. I mean, if it's winter and it's cold and you're just looking for a bite just to save the blank, I mean, you'd have to go with maggots every time. What I have found is the fish absolutely love sweet corn. You can't put enough of the stuff in, along with hemp, and if you mix all 3 together, it's just a winner every time. Every lake I fish, I pretty much use this form of fishing in some way or form, because it just time and time again it just gets me the bite, and I love it. Today I want to just find out exactly, I've got the perfect opportunity to find out exactly how I fish, and the camera doesn't lie, so it's going to be interesting to see how I fish, and if my theories of my own fishing are actually true, and there's only one way to find that out, and that's get in there and have a look.
Well, there we go, that's the theory. It's now practical time. So Bart's in the ock, he's ready to rock and roll. There is water in front of him, and the first thing I notice is no marker float. What's the score?
Yeah, this is just me letting about rod. Obviously, if I want to mark a float, I would use one, but at this stage, I don't want to float. I feel like it's probably going to hinder what I can feel on the bottom, if anything. You only need a float if you want to just register what depth you've got in front of you, or you're not going to use like any marker sticks to clip your rods up. So it's just the lead for me. I'm just going to fire it out in the pond, have a little feel about, and just the lead's going to make sure it's on the bottom, and we can have a look to see what's out in front of us.
What's your target then? There's a couple of obvious trees on the far bank, nice and tall. They're the sort of places that people might cast at. And when you've got day ticket lakes or open access venues like this, a lot of the time if there's a feature on the far bank, people will fish there at a comfortable depth, and there might be a feature there, so you've aimed for that big poplar.
Yeah, I mean, what I have found with a lot of day ticket fishing is that there are quite a few pegs on the lake, so you can bet your bottom dollar that if you chuck straight out from the swim at the most obvious tree line feature where the other anglers have fished, there will 9 times out of 10 more than likely be a spot there somewhere, and if the lake's quite narrow, I can normally take a guess that it'll be about just short of the middle. I've just chucked out there and it's absolutely solid in weed, and
You braided on the way through, so how'd you ping it out of there? It's not a case of pulling for a break, is it? A lot of people just point the rod at it, pull it straight.
No, you don't want to do that. You don't want to pull for a break at this stage. Obviously the weed will just come out at the bottom. It's coming now. But sometimes if you pull it out and you just let it go slack, you can sometimes just whip the lead out to save you winding all the way in. But I don't think that's going to happen on this cast because that's absolutely solid. I'll wind it in and I'll have another go. One thing I did notice then about the lake was that I chucked out and straight away I could feel the lead going down through the water, sort of 6 or 7 foot, but it was just straight into some sort of soft, silty type bottom, and that is that's not what I'm looking for, to be honest. I want a nice hard bottom, so I'm just going to keep casting around until I can find a nice spot to fish. And then once I've found that, we'll be on the money.
That's how easy it comes out. Big ball of weed like that, and it just pinged out straight away. But you can see there's no way on this planet you get a bait presented anywhere in that. Are you bothered how many casts it takes you? Don't you think it spooks the swim?
Oh, I'm not bothered how many casts it does take me. I've done probably 150 casts before now, and all right, yeah. It's always nicer if you land on a nice clean gravel spot first cast, but that's just not how it works, I'm afraid. So you just got to have a look, and I'd rather sit there knowing that I'm confident in what I'm doing rather than sit there thinking, oh, I didn't plumb that properly, is it in the weed?
A lot of people say that plumbing and certainly marker floating's carp scaring. What have you got to say to them?
Yeah, for all the haters of spodding and marker floating, that's just, I don't know, some old myth, I think. Someone just said that to themselves to make them feel better, but carp love food. Put it on a nice dinner plate, like a nice hard spot, the size of a ground sheet, and there's only going to be one outcome. That's mega weedy out to the right. So I'm going to swing left a little bit. There's a little bit of a channel opposite, and it might be clear coming out of the channel, so have a little flick about over there. Yeah, that's a bit clearer. Right, I'm going to clip that up, because now what I can do is work the line clip now. So I know that wherever that's just landed is sort of, you know, clear-ish. So what I can do now is just work around it and just see if it is anything. If it's not, then I'll just unclip it and try somewhere else. But that did feel all right then. So we'll have a little cast. You know, I've got to remember that I'm going to try and fit 3 rods on this spot. The bait's only going to go one distance because I'm using the line clip to spod. So and my rigs are going to be the same distance as that. So it's only the width of the spot that I need to check. So as soon as I found a hard bit, then you can see now, straight on the line clip there, cushion the cast and down it goes. And I don't know if it's by coincidence, but there is a W in the trees there, and that is slam on the middle of the W. Now I can feel that is, I wouldn't say that's proper hard there, but that's certainly 50 times nicer than anything else that I've found. So if all else fails and I can't find my tabletop of gravel, then that could be the one. And I can also use my marker sticks there that I've got up on the bank to wrap it round, a rod length apart, count the wraps, and I know that if I need to go further and check somewhere else, I can always log that information in my mind, so I know that it's, I don't know, 20 odd wraps towards that tree. So if I can't find anything else, I can just wrap my rod back up and then get back on that spot if no, I can't find.
What's the bottom there then?
I would say that the bottom out there at the moment is, it's either like an old gravel spot that's just sort of got a bit of sediment on the top, but there are sort of, it's like that's the middle of it, and then either side it is what feels like a bit more polished gravel, so almost like sort of two round bits, and then there's like a little soft strip through the middle, so maybe it's two gravel lumps. I'm not too sure, but I could always check the depth if it's with a float. But you can see how that's going down nicely, nice and firm. Right, so I'm pretty sure that I have found what I'm looking for. So that should be on the button. There you go. Whoa.
That's the deal now then. Wrap it up, clip it up, bang a bag on it, and happy days.
Yeah, that spot's a bit of me. It's nice, I can fit a few rods on there. It's rock hard. It's sort of quite a nice distance actually as well. There's an island opposite, and it's like sort of off the side of the island, so any fish sort of coming around there is going to pop it straight into there. So I'm going to get some rods out, get clipped up, get them out there and try and catch me a carp. So this is my favourite rig for fishing over the spot. This is just a ready tied lead core leader, a 4-ounce lead, a short non-coated braid, and obviously a hook bait of my choice on there. On this venue, lead core's actually, is banned. So the actual rig that I'm going to be using this session is this one. So I've just put a short length for tubing on there instead of the lead core. And I've actually put a little bit of putty on the end there. Now I'm hoping that that's actually going to pin the tube into the floor as good as the lead cord normally sits down. So fingers crossed that'll work. That's just the trans khaki tubing. This is a 4-ounce lead, and the reason for a 4-ounce lead is that because I'm using a solid bag, when I'm casting out into the lake, I want it to go dead straight, because if it doesn't, then it means that I'm going to have to redo it. And sometimes when you're fishing into a side wind, if you hit the clip and just about lower the bag onto the area, it can sort of swing in the wind. If you use the heaviest lead you can get away with, this will stop that, and it will make sure that it goes down, it sinks to the bottom very quickly, and you're fishing straight away. Again, that's just the dark camo reflex. That's perfect. That's going to blend in with the bottom, and also it's going to, blend in with my pellets as well. And then the hook bait, just a little pop up, little bit of power grip putty there just to stop it popping up too much, and then a size 5 SSBP. That's actually fished like a blowback style with a pear ring, and it works absolutely perfectly. The reason why I've opted for the ring and not a little bit of tubing is because of there are a few tench in here, and if the tench does pick it up and spit it out, it will reset itself to a degree, whereas it won't when there's a little bit of tubing on there. So hopefully that's going to catch me a fish.
There we are, the rods are in the water. What we're going to do now is get me, camera, mask and all the other bits in there and find out whether he's on the money or in the dunny. Well, it wasn't very hard finding Bart's spot, and in fact it was more or less the only clear area in front of him, and it was absolutely covered in bait. The visual aspect of the corn and red maggots caught my eye from some distance, and it's easy to see just why Bart loves this combination for pulling the fish down onto his spot. Bart had found an area of gravel with a very fine layer of sediment over the top. It wasn't polished, suggesting to me that this spot had not been fed on for some time. Coming up to the first rig, if we just slow this down, you'll be able to see that despite the inclusion of the putty, Bart's tubing is being held off the deck by the weed just short of the spot. With the tight line Bart is fishing, this is unavoidable with any leader arrangement, and with carp safety paramount, a slack line at 80 yards and a length this weedy is not recommended. Fingers crossed with Bart's baiting approach, the carp will be too preoccupied to mind. The solid bag itself provides the perfect presentation, and with a plastic corn hook bait on this one, it looks absolutely prime for a bite. As I move out, you'll see that just beyond and slightly right of his bag is his second rig. This whole spot is pretty small, no more than 6 foot wide, but not taking any chances, Bart aims smack down the middle on each cast to ensure that he will always land on the clean area. These two rods are incredibly close, no more than 12 inches apart in fact, and this lad really is the cream of the crop when it comes to accuracy. Moving over another 3 foot, I came to the final rig, Bart's right-hander. This had landed on the very edge of the spot, just 6 inches from the weed. The solid bag ensured perfect presentation, and if this had been a lead clip or a heli setup, the hook link could easily have fallen into the weed. Bart would have felt the donk from the gravel, but his presentation could have been ruined. It's always worthwhile thinking about the use of solid bags if the hole in the weed you are fishing is a tight one.
Right, let's have a little look at the spot there, and you can just see the silt along the bottom. The area is covered in like a layer of dark silt. It's like a grey colour, which is quite interesting. There's gravel there. And you thought it was gravel all the way down, didn't you? But it's just got a fine dusting over it.
Yeah, I mean, on the actual marker rod, it just felt as solid as it can be, you know?
Yeah. It was definitely gravel underneath, but there's just this fine layer of dust, a little bit like snow that's fallen lighting in the morning. But anyway, rocking on. There's one of your bag presentations. You can see the tubing there is laid down a little bit on one of them. On one of the others, it came up a little bit, and I think that's possibly because there's a bit of a crosswind. Are you bothered about that?
No, I knew that sort of either the tubing wasn't going to be dead flat, because there's a lot of weed in between me and the spot as well.
Yeah.
And it is a relatively shallow spot that I'm fishing. It's probably only 4 or 5 foot deep, so you know the weed's up to the surface halfway out, and it's always going to be an issue. But hopefully, with the way I fish and get the fish competing, they'll soon lower their guard when there's a big meal on the table like that one.
Well, there's certainly a big meal there, because the bait's very, very tight. You can see the maggots, you see the corn, and you can see two of your bags are very, very close together, right, almost smack next door to each other. The corn bag and the one with a pop-up on it, and then the other one's just off to the side, just up against some weed. But I must say that accuracy, bang on, baiting up, bang on. You're on a nice bit of gravel, and I bet you'll have a fish or two on that tonight.
Hopefully. Cheers. Well, here's the victim of the accuracy tactic. 3 rods on a spot has produced this 30 pounder, £30.14 this one. I had a bite on the other 2 rods as well, but they were tench. So I don't know if I'd have caught this with just 1 rod on the spot. So I'm pleased to fish the way that I did, and well happy with this fantastic creature. What a stunner. I've got no rods out at the moment, because obviously I've had a bite on each one. So we're going to get Rob to get in, have a look, see what's going on under there. I don't think there's any bait left, not with the action that we've had this morning. So yeah, lovely.
Right, we've just been into the pond and have a look after Mark had that fish last night. I'll tell you what, there's a massive change. Just have a look at this. It's incredible. There, you'll see the weeds gone straight away. There's hardly any other than little bits, and look at that. Bit of silt at the bottom and then absolutely polished gravel. The whole spot, probably 6 foot by 6 foot, it's just been polished. There's hardly any silt left there.
There's no bait left there, is there?
Virtually no bait. There is the odd little grain of corn and the odd maggot. I reckon if there's 6 grains of sweet corn and 2 maggots, that's about it.
Yeah. So I mean, normally, like if I caught a fish, I would top up straight away after that fish, which makes perfect sense, doesn't it? Looking at that now.
Well, just have a look at that. You can see around the whole spot there.
and there's literally nothing there. What's interesting as well is that where there was gravel but it was covered by dust, now it's absolutely clean gravel, and all the silt has been moved lower down the slope, and it looks like the tide's gone out, it's taken the sand with it, and it's just made a lovely little beach area at the bottom of the slope. So you can see why gravel bars get so clean. There's fish feeding on them, and certainly if those fish are on there, the amount of disturbance, like I just knocked my hand in the silt just so you can see how it cleans it off, and you can see gravel straight away. I mean, just look at that there. That absolutely was not there yesterday. There's a few grains of corn there, look, that's a couple of maggots, that's just tight up against weed, and that is more or less bang next door to where your last bite was from. I think that was a tench that produced that came on that one. But that was the right hand rod. And look at it, just completely different.
Yeah, no, it looks really nice now. But yeah, I mean, like normally after every fish I'd slip a bit more bait in, and it just goes to show that, you know, especially the way that I fish, you can get a bite instantly afterwards.
Yeah.
And would you say that's a result of like just the fish that have caught, or would you say other fish have been on there as well?
No, I would say that the fish that you caught will, when they burst and run, they do disturb quite a lot. But it's too wide.
But the bait would still be there, wouldn't
exactly. So what would happen then is, I've seen it before, where a fish has gone on and fed on a spot and it's moved the bait out. You see bait all over the place, but that has been cleaned by more than one feeding fish. It must have been more than one feeding fish, because there is no way on this planet that the last bait to be taken was by that carp. So there's been more in there. We know there's been tench on there. We know there's been carp on there. It's feeding fish that's cleaned that spot for you. And I think if you just keep putting bait in, particularly particle, it shows how good particle is at making a spot.
Yeah, and like also, if I was doing, say, a couple of free nights, then it just shows that how your spot's always going to increase and just get better and better as the session goes on.
Absolutely, that's the key. So, firstly, well done.
Thank you very much.
That. Nice result. I've got 3 questions for you now. Firstly, what was the high point?
I think the high point would just be having you here, just to find out exactly what goes on under there. I mean, ideally, I'd like to have found a sort of a slightly bigger spot than what that was, because I like to, you know, really put it on for him. But that was a real small spot. But yeah, just to gain an insight, because we all think we know what goes on, but like really, sort of, you're the only person that does. Because
it's such a help as well, because you know, if you can understand what's going on, it's just such a massive help to your fishing. You think you know, but until you see it, you don't really know. So, thank you for the highlight. What was the low light?
The low light was probably just the sort of nerves, if it wasn't like what I thought it was like.
Yeah.
Like, because there's nothing worse. You go out there and go, actually, you're a load of tats. See you later.
yeah. Well, you're on test, aren't you? And there's no getting away from it.
No, but that camera does not lie, does it?
No. And believe me, if he was getting it wrong, we'd tell you. I've known him long enough to rip him if he needs it. So, yeah, there we go. So, now, last one. What's the biggest lesson you've learned and the biggest tip that you can pass on?
I think the one thing I could take from it is maybe I could spread my rods out a little bit more, because like 2 of the rigs were really close, and if I was to look down my lines, they're just in a straight line, so a little bit of spread on the line is... Yeah.
But to be fair, that spot was quite small, and if you've got a 12-foot wide spot, they probably would be a little bit wider.
Yeah.
So, well, there you go. I think that's it. I think we can close happily on that point, that firstly, the way that he fishes does actually work, and secondly, get the bait on the spot, get the fish working the spot for you, and it will just get better and better and better. But you wish you were going to have another night here now, don't you?
Yeah, I do now. Yeah.
Pinpoint accuracy there from the Bartman. And later on in November, he was doing it all over again on an even bigger scale.
Well, here we are. We're doing exactly the same as what we've done on the underwater section, and it's paying off even better than before. I've got one on here now. This is my second bite in about 5 minutes, and just before that, I've had a fish that I'll never forget. It's a proper weapon, and we'll get her out. You can have a look at her, but it'll make you shake. Well, it's the middle of November. Come down to St John's to have a quick session before it gets too cold. I caught a couple of carp and I got stuck into this thing. I knew straight away it was a good fish as soon as I was playing it the whole way in. I seen it about 15 yards out and could see his head, and then about 3 foot to the left I could see his tail. I was like, that's a unit. 47.11. It's a UK personal best for me, and I'm so pleased I caught it from this lake. I fished here since I was a real small lad, and you know, to catch a fish of your dreams like this, just all come together real nicely. Absolute monster. Just about a slipper back now. Can't believe it, absolutely made up. This is actually a late record common as well, and a late record. 47.11. Chunk. See you later, baby. Unit. Look at the size of it. It's like 3 foot wide. Wow, proper fish. Well, must be big fish day. Not only have I just caught that absolute monster, just had a text from Pictures. He's just gone and caught a late record as well. Don't know how big it is. It's probably big, knowing him. So let's go and have a look at that one.
Well, thanks for that, Bart. Here we are down in sunny Cambridgeshire. The weather's a lot different to where you saw Bart over in Oxfordshire. But there's obviously something in the air. It's a good time to be on the bank angling. You saw Bart with his 47-pounder. Then here I've got something pretty special too. I'm over at Holme Fen Fishery, where you saw Lewis and Harry earlier in this DVD. They had an absolutely brilliant result. And yeah, I'm quite happy with what I've got here too. So I think what we'll do, we'll go and have a closer look at it. He is. That's what you call the chunk. 45 pound 4 ounces. New late record. What a unit. This fell to a hinge stiff rig. Milky toffee pop up. Size 4 armour point SR hook. Tied to the 30 pound rigidity and a 25 pound Camatech soft boom section. Absolutely blown away with this. Got to get in there with them, haven't you?
Well, there you go. Sometimes there are days when it kicks off all over the country. Unfortunately, our guys were out there to experience the very best of it. My time here at Farlows has come to an end, a 24-hour period where I've caught a carp from this very, very famous and special day ticket water. Unfortunately, the pressure around me has increased, which I suspect has put the carp on the back foot. But it's how we respond to that pressure and the things that we do about it that ultimately put a carp on the bank. Everyone at Fox would like to thank each and every one of you for watching, and we can only hope and wish that the tackle and tactics that our guys have used will help you towards the session of a lifetime.